slow motion Big Brother style confessional montage at the end. And I think we should bring that to our podcast. So we should add some theme music throughout to make it like a Big Brother episode.
Yes. So I apologize to YouTube. I think we're having some trouble connecting there.
I think it just started, actually. Yeah. I'm watching YouTube and it just came on. So it might be like a minute behind.
Yes, so sorry for YouTube, but we should be here now. Okay, good. We're now on YouTube.
Yay!
You didn't miss much. Yeah, you didn't miss much. So we are here live on a Tuesday night, as we will be every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, to argue about what's been happening on the live feeds for Big Brother 20. And we are, in fact, live on YouTube, Periscope, and who knows about Facebook at this point. But we should also be live on Twitch. And you can send questions in to me on Twitter at ArmstrongTaryn if you so desire. Let's get started. Let's get into this week, because this has been a crazy week, an exciting week, and very excited to be talking about it. As we know, on the eviction on Thursday night, Summer of Steve was cut short, and he left in a 7-6 vote because Kaitlyn was essentially tricked into flipping her vote at the last second. And unfortunately, we saw our Summer go away. No more Summer of Steve, Melissa.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it was very exciting. And, I feel like I didn't want to lose anybody. But I guess if we had to lose somebody, Steve didn't really make that much of a difference on the feeds. So I was okay with what happened because I didn't want to lose Sam either. So.
Yeah. It was a tough thing losing Steve, but he's gone now. We went into the HOH competition where Kaitlyn, I think the perfect person to win this HOH competition, won a total wild card. She becomes the HOH. Her initial thought is put up Kaycee and Winston, probably just get Winston out. However, Tyler is going to quickly course correct and get her to put up Scottie and Winston with the intent to backdoor Swaggy, and a much more exciting plan, Brent.
Much more exciting plan. I was rooting for Kaitlyn when she became the HOH. I thought it would be a really fun week until I realized that it would be Tyler Part 3 HOH, which is essentially what it's become. And I still contend, to the consternation of many others who think that Tyler is playing a great game, that he is not playing a great game. That Big Brother is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I do think that the invoice for many of the things he's lying about and many of the things he's doing are going to come due very soon. In fact, sooner than later.
Yeah, I feel like we had this exact conversation exactly a year ago, Brent.
Okay, Tyler's not Paul, and these people in the house right now are not. They are not the Big Brother 19 people. The Big Brother 19 people, all they cared about was getting to jury. I haven't heard one person besides Swaggy when he was talking to Kaitlyn and Tyler yesterday, which of course he had said previously that that's all a lie. So I don't know how much of that was true. I haven't heard one person say anything about, really need the jury stipend. I left my job. I really need this. So I'm happy for that. And everybody else seems hungry. In fact, there are, I would say, half dozen people in the house who are wise to what Tyler is doing right now. And the question is when they decide to do something about it.
Yes, we will definitely get into more of that as we move forward. So Tyler ends up winning the veto. He uses it on Scottie, and Kaitlyn replaces Scottie with Swaggy. Swaggy has been backdoored. He is on the block. As it currently stands, it does look as though Swaggy will be voted out with even the votes Haleigh, Fessy, and Scottie. All three of them are considering flipping their vote to evict Scottie, to vote with the House. Scottie even more firmly because he now believes that Swaggy has turned on him due to some conversations with Tyler and then the bros. Fessy finds what Kaitlyn did impressive for some reason, and Haleigh is just trying to survive at this point. So right now, I would not be surprised if the final vote tally ended with something like 9-3 or 10-2. 2 with Swaggy evicted. That said, we still have a crazy person at the head of everything in Kaitlyn, and anything can happen. Kaitlyn could completely go off the rails, and we could see an entirely different vote tally, Melissa.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that's the case. I never thought I'd say this, but I really, 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 really don't want to lose Swaggy this week at all. Like, I thought that I was going to be so excited to see him go before the season started. And I really like him, and I want him to stick around. And I feel like he's one of the few people who's actually going to go against Tyler, or at least has some sort of strong will. I feel like everyone else changes on a dime, maybe besides Rockstar. And I feel like Haley's smart, so I feel like she's just doing what she has to do, but I feel like that's not really her. I don't know. I'm very frustrated already with this week, because I thought when Kaitlyn won HOH, like, oh my God, we're going to see something wild and crazy. She's a strong-willed girl, and she's going to, do what she wants and not listen to anybody. Oh, wait, no, she's not. She's going to do exactly what Tyler says for her to do, even if it's not in her best interest. And it's been not only not super exciting for me, but it's also been very depressing. It's been sad, and I've just not enjoyed it at all. And then, I love what Tyler is doing. I totally appreciate it as like a strategic gamer, whatever. I get it, but I don't like ever to see somebody just easily walk their way to the end. And I'm so worried. Obviously, we're very early in, but I'm very worried that that is the case here. It seems like everybody just caves to whatever he wants. And they do whatever he says, and they just want to be his friend and don't want to upset him. They never want to even express an opinion that goes against his opinion. I just feel like it's making me worried, because all these people that I thought were really, really strong and very, they had their own personalities and their own will going into this game. I just feel like they're just falling one by one. And I mean, it's a little scary right now. It's a little scary, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Well, it's not as scary for me. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Taryn. Only because I do think that there are some better players that are underneath Swaggy who can make something of a game of this. I think what's happening right now is that you are seeing the better players like Haleigh, like Scottie, run for the hills, looking for greener pastures, looking for somewhere to go, realizing that Swaggy is a sinking ship. I would say even Bayleigh did an admirable job yesterday of trying to paper that over a little bit. And then you have the lesser players like Fessy and Rockstar, who are not able to do exactly what probably needs to be done in the game. Fessy might eventually get there just for lack of being dumb. I mean, he might just do what as I compared him to Trump earlier. He just does whatever the last person, whoever talks to him last. Oh, I'll do that. Okay, fine. So he's just sort of like that in some ways. But I do think that Rockstar she's a great player to watch, but a bad player for the game. And I think that we're probably going to need to thin out a couple people. The one thing that does give me hope, Melissa, is I am reasonably confident in saying that not just this coming week, but the next week, and maybe the next, 4 weeks? So it's 4 weeks. So we only have 2 more weeks of powers to give out, because there's 5 to choose from, and there's only going to be 4 powers given out. I do think that the last 2 powers are going to go to the remnants of the Swaggy side of it all. I think it's going to be Bayleigh and likely Rockstar if she's there, maybe Haleigh if she gets a little bit more airtime. And right now it's easy for Tyler to play because he knows where all the pieces are. He knows where all the bodies are buried, as Rob would say. But if powers come into the game that he doesn't know who has them and nobody's talking, I have to think that's going to make him a little bit jumpy and a little bit unsure. And that, combined with the fact that a few people are at least cognizant of what he's doing in the game right now, I think should make for a fun couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I will say personally, I have found this week to be everything I hoped for it to be. I think that Tyler's influence has made it so much more exciting. No, I'm not happy to see Swaggy leave. That said, Swaggy, I've said it before, I feel like has never really truly lived up to the potential that he had, and part of that is the showmance that he's been distracted with, and part of it is that he hasn't he just hasn't been much of a force in the game. He doesn't have a lot of social relationships, and I am sad to see him go here, but I do think it's making for a very exciting week. I think the fact that Tyler has essentially weaponized Kaitlyn against her own alliance, he has they have smashed this whole house and reconfigured the entire thing in just week 2. I find that to be incredibly exciting. There are still new alliances being formed. We'll talk about it when we get into the state of the house. But last week it was there's one side, there's another side, there's Tyler. Now there's one side, there's some remnants of another side, then there's another group over here, and then there's a bunch of relationships because there's not a whole lot that's been solidified yet because everything was just shattered. And not only was everything just shattered, but we have also seen that it's not even set in stone that Swaggy's going to go home because Kaitlyn is such a wild card. Not 20 minutes ago, she was getting really pissy with Tyler about like, hey, I don't like that you're pushing this Swaggy thing. I feel like, look, my intuition comes first, even over you, Tyler, and I don't like how much you're pushing this. We could absolutely see Kaitlyn flip over to the other side and everything could crumble and fall apart. And that's what I find exciting about watching Tyler, in the same way that I found watching Vanessa exciting. I think that he is kind of sloppy in a lot of ways, and I think that it's making, at least for this week, a very exciting week.
I have a question though. Do you think that this is necessarily good for Tyler? Like, let's look at the other path that was available to him where the two sides stay cohesive and he's basically in the middle. He's not really exposed to either side, and they're going after each other, and he's able to play the Mitch game, as it were, from Big Brother Canada 4, where there are two sides, and he's actively trying to stay in the middle of two alliances in order to further his prospects. Now, one side arguably is dissolving, and he is seen by many people in the house as the head of the alliance, or the mastermind, as Sam called him earlier today. And he even feeds it a little bit as well, Taryn, when he says, I don't like it when he says things like, well, I know that people think that, or I know that Rockstar is saying that I'm the one who caused all of this. Like, don't put that out in the universe. I haven't heard many people say that. I mean, I heard more people say that after he started talking about it. I heard maybe one person say that. And then once he puts it out in the universe, people are like, yeah, what about that? Like, are you the one who caused all of this? Like, how much influence do you have over everything? So he is a messy player in that respect, and that's why I have hope that this season will not go the same way as last season.
I know. I think that's my main concern is, like, I feel like I'm still feeling the weight of last season. And so I'm trying not to let that influence my opinion, but it makes me so worried when we already see this sort of like Paul-esque thing going on. And it just makes me worried because normally I would be like, wow, if BB19 never happened, I'd be like, this is such a great week. Tyler's amazing. This is awesome. It's so fun to watch. But it just freaks me out, the idea that like this could continue every single week. And that's what's freaking me out.
But the best thing is that BB19 did happen. And this cast has all been given tapes of it. They are all aware of what happened last year. And they do not want to be the doofus who's on the jury who got played by some mastermind in the game. So I really think that this whole Paul Tyler thing is overblown. Like, we're gonna look back on this and laugh. Like, come on, girl, please.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, when I said we had this conversation a year ago, that wasn't a Paul reference. That was just in general, this always happens at the start of a season where there is a very good player. Season 16, everybody was saying, "Oh, King Derek, he's so obvious. Everyone's gonna find out about King Derek." Season 14, people were talking about Dan's mist early on. Season 10, people were talking about like they didn't even see Dan as a great player. Season 10, like this just, it happens all the time that people are like, well, this is never gonna last. Look how obvious this person's game is, and I feel like there are certainly a lot of people that like Tyler and that appreciate his gameplay, but there's definitely a growing backlash that I think I saw this morning in the live feed chat update, and that I can see in the voting for the Stock Watch this week, where people are starting to get angry with Tyler, fearing, I think, similarly to Melissa, that he might become this sort of next Paul figure. But There are also people who I think are more along Brent's lines where they're saying, like, Tyler's not that great. Look at all the things that are going wrong for Tyler. Look at all the people that are on to him. But I think to that, I would say, like, yes, of course, Tyler has flaws in this game. I think he has a lot of flaws. And I find that very compelling. I think he's very similar to Vanessa in that sense, that he's a very flawed player that's very, very good in one particular aspect, and that's emotional manipulation. But I think that the reason why we see so many of his flaws is because there's such a highlight on him. If we compare Tyler's flaws to anyone else in the house, they have way more flaws, right? Like, Tyler is by far in the best position in the house, and it's not particularly close. I would not go as far as to say that, like, I think Tyler is doomed or anything like that. I think he's playing the best. He's in the best position to win at the moment. He's not flawless, but he has a lot less flaws than anyone else in this game at the moment. And when it comes to whether or not this was a good move to take out Swaggy, I think not only was it a good move, I think it was the only move for Tyler. I think it was a fantastic move, considering there was a growing amount of distrust forming for Tyler in that group. He was straddling the middle, and when he was straddling the middle, the same people that I think are now saying he shouldn't have chosen a side were saying Tyler's going to get caught very soon because you can't keep playing the middle like this, which I think is true. He needed to break up that structure because he can't hide when he's not HOH and he has to cast a vote. You can only have so many hinky votes before people are really starting to go, like, pick a side, dude. You have to choose us or them. So by breaking up one of the sides and then picking some of the pieces up, I think Tyler has really positioned himself well moving forward in this game. Do I think he'll be flawless? Do I think he'll be Paul? Absolutely not. I think I'm excited to see just how much of a roller coaster this can be, because this week, despite how much control Tyler has had on it, has been a complete roller coaster. He does not have a firm grasp. He is juggling right now, and he can only fit so many balls in his hands at a time, and he's constantly dropping them and having to pick them up, and I find that very compelling. So that is my take on the week.
I have to say that the number one thing that I saw today that I thought was odd was the fact that they are lying. I'm talking about Tyler and Kaitlyn actively to Scottie in an effort to pull him back to their side. But I feel like he's already on their side. So I don't know why they're doing this. They're lying to him, saying that they don't know what happened. They don't know how Steve got evicted. They're blaming it on Swaggy. Swaggy was the vote to evict Steve. And Scottie's actually buying it. I need a diary room from Scottie right now because I'm warming up to him, mainly because I'm going to need him as opposition in the game. But he's got to be smarter than this. He's got to realize that this is a bunch of hooey. But then he went and talked to other people, and he was like, if my friends are screwing me over, I'm going to be really pissed. And I'm like, oh, dude, that is so not what's happening. What are you laughing at?
Oh, it's just such a great example of, like, Tyler managed to win Scottie back over to their side, right? Like, he had Scottie, and then Scottie talked to the bros, or in particular Brett, who was like, who he didn't need to say anything else. Scottie already felt betrayed by Swaggy because of what Tyler told him, the things that Scottie didn't know about, that Swaggy had been saying things about Scottie like he's a rat and he gives him information from the other side. But Brett doesn't leave well enough alone, and he is like, no, not only that, but we totally voted to keep Steve. It wasn't us. You were betrayed by other people. Like, that's such a bold-faced lie. I don't understand how he thinks he's going to get away with this. It seems like he is so far, and if Swaggy just leaves unceremoniously, there's a small chance that he can get away with it, but there's also a huge chance that Scottie's going to figure out the truth and be like, oh, so everything was a lie. I should not be with that side. Like, it's everyone else on Tyler's lines is just so bad.
I have to tell you, Melissa, that, a bitch has to sleep, and I was sleeping. And this happened when I was asleep. And I went to read the updates because I'm trying to get caught up for tonight. And I read that this happened on Twitter. And then I went to a recap and I read it again. And I'm like, that has to be a typo. They must not.
I heard it and I didn't believe it.
Okay. I was like, that makes no sense at all. What is he really saying here? And that then really here doesn't. You tell me, I'm like, that's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that went on this week where I was like, wait, there's no way this is right? And I don't know, like Rockstar going up to Kaitlyn after Swaggy talks to them and like basically tells them what Swaggy was telling her that they needed to do. And it was like, no, the point is you're supposed to do that. You're not supposed to tell Kaitlyn that Swaggy told you need to do that. Like, it was just, I don't know why she did that, because she wants to keep Swaggy, presumably, and then she goes and ruins it. But yeah, there are so many things that went on this week that I was very confused about.
We're getting what we want. There's messy players. There's people that don't know what they're doing. There are people, the worst part is, there are people in the game who are bad players who don't think they're bad players. I think someone like Fessy at least knows he's not a great player at Big Brother. But there are other people in the game who think that they have it all figured out, and they're just going about town like they're the shiznit, and they're not.
Yeah, Fessy's good at identifying that he's not a good player, but he's not good at identifying that Kaitlyn is not also not a great player.
Oh, it's like a mastermind. Oh my God. And then Kaitlyn's like, I'm totally going to get the power in week 3.
Yeah, I am loving the dynamics of this cast and how everything is working. We've got like one great player in Tyler who's not flawless, who's still got a lot of flaws. We've got so many people like Kaitlyn, like even somebody like Fessy, who I think is normally a complete dud, has been giving us a lot due to the love triangle stuff and just his overall just like total boneheadedness. We've got the bros who are doing their own thing. Winston, who's a paranoid mess. We've got JC running around acting like an absolute lunatic, but oddly like effective. We've got Haleigh, who's playing a more low-key, kind of like let me just kind of figure out how to get in here kind of vibe. You've got Rockstar as kind of the Donnie who sees what Tyler is doing and is trying to point it out, but it's just putting a bigger target on her back. There's just so much to enjoy in this house, and I'm really loving it. I hope it doesn't shift into anything boring or anything like that, but it's been a blast so far. I've been glued to the feeds.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, yesterday and the day before, I could not stop. It was just all day long, and that's what you want. You don't want it to be like a chore to watch it. Okay, nothing's happening, and I feel like last season it was just such a chore most of the time to watch it. And this season, I'm so excited to watch it, and I'm so excited to check my phone if I'm doing something. It's like I love that, and it's a great season so far. I'm very excited about it.
Yes. So let's talk about where the house is now. Following the Swaggy blindside, like I said, Faute has all but disintegrated at this point, and people are starting to shift and maneuver into new relationships and new alliances. Level 6 remains intact so far. Winston, Brett, Rachel, Angela, Tyler, and Kaycee are still the level 6 alliance. They are still loyal to each other. Angela and Rachel have talked a little bit about Tyler. They see how out in front he is. They like how out in front he is. And because Tyler doesn't do a whole lot of maintenance. Like I said, Tyler is somebody who's very focused. He does really, really great in one-on-one conversations. But when there's 15 people in the house, it's really, really hard to juggle every single relationship. And he doesn't do a whole lot of maintenance on his own level 6 alliance. So they have talked about Tyler a bit. Not to mention the fact that Winston and sometimes Brett need to be babysat constantly just so they don't do stupid things all the time. There's still a small chance that Winston could go up Thursday night and give a speech saying, all right, guys, I know I'm being voted out, so here's everything. The level 6 alliance, Tyler, that's what's going on, which would be ridiculous.
I tried to ward off the stereotype that Winston is like the guy in the bunker who's thinks the end of the world is coming, but I totally think he is that guy. He is that guy.
Winston's facial expressions are so funny. They're so fun to watch. He makes his eyes so big, and he's oh my God, it's so funny. Even when he's just having a casual conversation, he's just like, I'm talking to you right now.
I'm just being myself. Apparently myself is really intense.
And I have no idea. Why can't I get a girlfriend? I don't understand. I love that. I love that conversation. I don't think we talked about it between Rachel and Angela, where they're like, you first came into the house, who were you looking at? They're like, Winston. And they're like, oh yeah, but the personality. Oh yeah. They're Yeah.
It was so great to hear because they fell for the same things that we did preseason, where apparently for a couple of days he was the Winston we thought he was going to be. But then they said that Brett broke him and turned him into a bro, and now he's just a lunatic. So I don't know how that worked, but
I feel like that makes a lot more sense than like, oh, we were all just tricked. Like we were all, like, it's that he was actually broken in the house by Brett. He's like, that makes a lot more sense than all of us being tricked for like all of those interviews. Because I feel like for the most part, you watch the interview and maybe you could be tricked for like a few of them, but then maybe there's one thing that they say or like whatever, like, or one thing that they do that in one interview that makes you like, I don't know about this guy. But I watched so many interviews with him, even that one from that weird like Florida station or whatever. And I was like, okay, I get this guy. I understand it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I had no idea what this guy was about when they like all of a sudden showed the gun thing. And then he became crazy in the house. And like, you know, I felt like I was totally duped, but it makes a lot more sense. It makes me feel better to think that he was broken in the house. And that's why.
Yeah, I do feel like Winston, one of the reasons why Winston like went under the radar is because I felt like his red flags were his bio. Like in his bio, something read wrong to me, but then every single interview was like super great. So I was like, whatever. I forget about the bio. The bio doesn't mean anything. But then the bio meant something. So we got that level 6 alliance. They remain intact. Then we have the remnants of Faute. Really, the only people left at this point that are truly loyal are Swaggy, Bayleigh, and Rockstar. Those three, Swaley and Rockstar, who is not going to abandon them in their time of need, which is making her a fan favorite, getting her lots of votes that are rating her highly at gameplay, even though I'm not sure that was what she should be rated highly on, but definitely making her a fan favorite at the moment.
I was going to ask you, who would you prefer, Faute or the moving company? They both lasted about the same time.
Yeah. I mean, wow, it's hard to find an alliance that makes the moving company sound like a good alliance name.
I know, right? I had to think about that one. I was like, I think I'd go with the moving company, actually.
Yes.
In regards to Rockstar, I'm not totally convinced that she's not being completely controlled by Twitter. Like, I feel like there's no way that she is saying literally everything that everyone's tweeting about, like, verbatim, like, every single day. I don't get it. Like, I mean, I see a tweet, and then all of a sudden she says the exact same thing that tweet said. I think she might be controlled by Twitter.
It's possible. I mean, she does have an amazing body. Did you see that picture of her that I retweeted? Like from like a couple years, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. She was like a model. She had,
I saw that.
Oh my God. Couldn't believe it was like her. Oh, like, I mean, I guess that's what happens when you have kids, but damn, that was, I mean, sorry, just being real. I keep it real, Tim.
Yes, I can see it now. Next week, all right, we've been holding back a twist from you all this time. We've been talking about high-tech stuff and all this trending stuff. Guess what? It's America's Players. She does everything. She does the most tweeted about words or ideas that are expressed go to Rockstar.
Yeah.
She channels them. And Twitter manifests themselves as Rockstar.
I could absolutely see it. If they said that, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
No. So that's the remnants of Faute because Fessy, Haleigh, and who's the other person? Was Bayleigh? It just Fessy and Haleigh? Fessy and Haleigh have jumped ship, and even Scottie is sort of jumping from the core to the core of the core, which is now going to be Tyler and Scottie. So that's then the rest of the people, like if there's any kind of grouping, I feel like I just call them Tyler's people, because the one common denominator with all of them is Tyler. He's got Kaitlyn, he's starting to bring Brett as a separate person in with Kaitlyn. He's got Kaycee, JC, Scottie, and Sam. Those are all people that have like one-on-one relationships with Tyler that are somewhat linked with each other because they're also good with Tyler. And then even Fessy has started to take his first steps into Tyler land as of yesterday, with Haleigh kind of being like an inside agent. With Tyler kind of knows that Haleigh's onto him, but Haleigh's also not being as obvious as Rockstar is. So she's trying to just like blend in and be like, no, what are you talking about? I've been here the whole time. So that's that kind of group. And then there's of course just like individual relationships that are not really solid alliances, but that's generally where I see the house standing. What do you think about that, Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. It all seems to be somewhat circulating Tyler, and you know, it's impressive, but I feel like it's one of those, I mean, we said this about Paris, but I feel like it's one of those like houses of cards, and it's just like gonna implode on itself at one point or another, and maybe it will and maybe it won't. Last year with BB Can, or I guess this year with BB Can, I was convinced that there was no way she was going to be able to keep it up, and she did. So, you know, I mean, if Tyler might be able to do this for the entire game and have nobody on to him besides Rockstar, and okay, he wants to target Rockstar next week, so if him or any of his, you know, cronies get HOH, Rockstar or Haleigh or someone who might be on to him is up next, and that's just the way it is, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, I mean, to be fair, I do think that people were on to Paris during Big Brother Canada 6. I know Kaitlyn in particular and Wilson. Derek, sorry, couldn't remember. It's like, yeah, what's his name? Wilson. Yeah. I know that they were definitely on to Paris. It's just, you know, it's like sort of keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I think that they knew what she was doing, but they were okay because they knew that they were never like number one target on her list. They were maybe number 3, number 4. So they were okay keeping her around, even though they knew that she was lying, that she was up to no good, that she wasn't necessarily working in their best interest, because they knew that they would not be targeted by her. So I don't know if that's going to hold true necessarily for Tyler, because I do think there are people who are in the house who know that he is playing the game a lot harder. I love Rockstar's impression of Tyler. You can tell she just hates him. She hates him.
Yeah, she has Karen and Kevin
herself.
Levels of hate for Tyler already.
She really is. She's like, for those of you who don't watch the feed, she's like talking to Kaitlyn. And I haven't heard Kaitlyn, please correct me if I'm wrong. I know Kaitlyn told Tyler that Rockstar would target Tyler, but I didn't remember Kaitlyn telling Tyler that Rockstar was like, you know, I'm getting so tired of Tyler. You know, he always just acts dumb around me, and he's a lot smarter than what he says he is. Like, every time I ask Tyler a question, he's like, I don't know. She just went on about that. She must have done that like 10 times. And I was like, oh, it was like a Palpatine, you know, like she was calling Tyler Palpatine. I'm like, I can sense the hate within you. Let it flow. You know, like, it was really, really good stuff. I was there for it.
Yes, and again, this is making her very popular, but at the same time, definitely making her stand out as a big target. If honestly, at this point, if you're asking me right now, I think Rockstar is the biggest target in the house, in the game.
I think so too. Yeah,
and
you have to hold a gun to my head. Who's going to be evicted next week? I think it's probably going to be Rockstar. She needs a power, or Bayleigh needs a power. The problem is I don't know if Bayleigh would use a power on her. On the other hand, I was going to say it's probably only good for 2 weeks, but that's not true, because Tyler's cloud power is good for 2 months. So, I mean, I don't know what could happen with any of those powers. I do think the upgrade power is probably a co-HOH, but even that, I don't know if that would save Rockstar, because if she ends up on the block through even one nomination, the votes are there to send her home. So I don't know if that would be good either. So
honestly, I feel like a co-HOH is significantly more powerful than both of the powers that we've seen so far. So I'm kind of doubting that it's even that. I think at this point I think it's probably more likely that it's an upgrade to a veto or something along those lines. Just because it would be very. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that the Big Brother producers are always super balanced with their twists, but it would be very unbalanced for because a co-HOH is guaranteed safety for the week, which has not been the case for Bonus Life or the Cloud. Those are like, you might be safe. And so to have a co-HOH, which is not only guaranteed safety, but additional power as well, you also get to nominate one of the players. It seems like a huge step up. But you never know. But yes, Rockstar appears to be the biggest target at the moment, and I feel like like watching the fandom, circle around Rockstar is very interesting to me because the things that are making her popular are the things that are sending her home very soon, and so it seems to me in many ways that like we as the audience set ourselves up for failure because the more poorly somebody plays, in the sense that like she's calling it like it is, she's calling Tyler Palpatine, she's saying it to people's faces, like those are the things that are going to get her sent home very soon, which is going to piss off the audience, which is going to make them just unhappy in general. And I feel
because
like
we're idealistic, Taryn. As an audience, we're idealistic. It's the same thing that happened last year with Jessica and Cody. They're the ones who are speaking truth to power. They're the ones who are going up to the people and going up to the man, whoever that person is, or those people are, and saying, you know what, you suck. And that's what Rockstar is doing right now. And then, of course, I know she tried to paper it over. I think it was last night or today, but it ain't going to work. Tyler's onto her, and he knows that if she got power, that she would probably be coming for him or his allies right now. So I don't think that did much of anything at all.
Yeah. I mean, like, I just feel like it's yet another like piece of the puzzle when it comes to like when people wonder like, why is the Big Brother fandom so negative? I feel like it's because part of the reason is because of this sort of underdog paradox where you the worse a player does, the more you root for them, and then when they continue to do poorly, you get pissed off and you complain about the people that are doing well, and then you just get stuck in this loop, and I think it explains a little bit of what we see in the.
I think you just need to have. You just need to have a little balance like me. I mean, I get really passionate about the game, and I love the people on the show that I love, and I hate the people on the show that I hate. But I can appreciate, even though I'm not currently a fan of him right now, I can appreciate Tyler's game. I appreciate what he's doing in the house. I think he's a great guy. He's absolutely done nothing personally to offend me or piss me off. In fact, he has done things actively to affirm things that I believe in the house, when he was like telling Brett and Winston when they compared Swaggy to Devin, even though they, Swaggy looks like Devin, like I look like Chris Rock. I mean, there's no comparison whatsoever. Okay, I had no idea what they were saying, and he called them out on it and said, "Hey, don't do that." So I mean, Tyler is a great guy. He's a fan of the show. He was trying to get on BBOTT. He's friends with the Willett sisters. He watches the feeds like us. He knows everything about Big Brother. He's playing the game the best he can. The problem is that everything's gone his way, Taryn. And I just need a little bit to not go his way in order to start rooting for him again. I just need a little bit of a fly in the ointment in order for me to feel a little ownership, because as human beings, we're watching the show and we are flawed. We are flawed. Not the game is flawed. We are flawed. And so we want people on the show to reflect us. We don't want to see a perfect person. We want to see someone with a little stuff on them, who then rises to the top. So that's why I think people aren't currently rooting for Tyler.
Yeah, I just feel like so far it's hard to say, oh, Tyler is an amazing player, rather than Tyler's playing with really bad players. Like, I don't know what's the case, but it's hard for me to say one way or the other. And I feel like it will solidify me thinking that Tyler's really good and that I'm rooting for him if there's something that he has to dig himself out of, like if there's some sort of opposition to him, then and he overcomes that, then I could be like, okay, I get it for sure. That's amazing. And I want to see him go far. And that's the frustration, is I feel like so far nothing has, gone against him. Everything is working out for him. And I can't tell whether that's just the people that he's with are just idiots, or or he's actually that good. And I really like Tyler a lot, and I'm totally rooting for him. And I think he's a really nice guy, and I love that he's a super fan. I think he's playing a great game. But as Brent said, I'm going to say Brett and Brent. I'm sorry. I'm just going to do it. But as Brent said, like, you want to see them overcome something. You don't want to see them, go super easily to the end. And I'm not saying he has to overcome something right away. I'm just saying I want to eventually see him overcome something. I don't want it to be an easy road to the end for him.
Well, I'll definitely disagree with most of that, because I do think that Tyler has faced a decent, like the first week, he didn't have the numbers to do what he wanted, and he did something crazy in order to get the numbers. This week, he's constantly having to dig himself out of holes because people are constantly talking over here. He has to go and he has to quell Sam because Sam now wants to save Swaggy. Now Kaitlyn wants to save Swaggy. He's got he had Swaggy, Fessy, Rockstar, Haleigh, all of them talking about Tyler's. He's the next target. We're gonna put him up. He's had to like put those fires out. I feel like he's dealing with a decent amount of adversity so far. So I'm not seeing it like completely go his way, and that's why I think the feeds have been so exciting, because he is facing a lot of adversity.
I just mean, like, I don't mean overcome just like, oh, he wants this person to go out and this person's not going out, like, he somehow finds a way to get this person to go out. I mean, like, him personally, like, them coming after him, like he's on the block, or like they see him. Yeah, like I don't want it to just be like, oh, he wanted this person to go out, and unfortunately this other person was going to go out, and then he convinced them to get this one person out. Like
this is the way that most like players have to do their, like, by the time you're on the block, it's usually too late. The reason Swaggy has to go is because if Swaggy stays and that side is able to continue to be a solid side, they are all coming after him, and then by the time they do come after him next week, he's probably just a goner at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean like he has to be on the block ready to go. I just mean like there has to be someone opposite him. Like he doesn't even have to go on the block. Like just somebody would put him on the block. Yeah, like that there's somebody against him. There's somebody versus him. And I was thinking it was going to be Swaggy. And now that Swaggy's leaving, it's like, okay, does that mean that there's going to be no one? Like, I thought that the one person who would put him on the block was going to be Swaggy, and now Swaggy's leaving. And so it's not that I need him to be on the block and get himself off the block. I just mean, like, he needs to somehow avoid the block or something like that. Like that there would be a situation where he would end up on the block. And at this point, it doesn't seem like there is. I mean, I don't see Rockstar winning HOH, and she seems to be the only person who would put him on the block.
But I mean, I feel like Bayleigh is definitely getting the power next week. And Bayleigh definitely is one of the people that has incentive to go after Tyler, which is, again, like another form of adversity that he's going to have to dig himself out of.
Well, when he does that, then I can root for him. Like,
but by then you're going to be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter because he's not on the block yet. This adversity doesn't matter. It needs to be something else in the future. Like, I feel like he's been dealing with adversity the whole time.
Look,
the problem is you don't like the outcome of the week.
No. All I'm saying is that, look, if we look at Big Brother Canada with Kayla, and we saw she faced adversity, and that's when I was like, and she got herself off it. Same with Johnny. No, same with Johnny. Johnny got himself off the block. He pulled a bit like a crazy thing, and it was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And I feel like I need that sort of thing in order for me to fully be like, wow, this guy's an amazing player.
That took until what, like week 8 for that to happen with Johnny?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he needs it this week. I'm not saying he needs it this week. I'm just saying, like, in order for me to fully invest in Tyler, like, wow, this guy's amazing, I need to see him overcome something, is all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm going to say he's a bad player right now. He's not. He's a great player. But I just like to see, like, I mean, you've got a move like Dan's funeral or something like that. I want to see that. I want to see that before I'm willing to give a person, like, oh, this guy's an amazing player. Like, he's great. And I'm like, I just feel like...
No, I completely agree with that. I don't think that's what you were initially saying, but I completely agree with that. No, like, absolutely.
That's what I was initially saying.
People can go back and listen.
Your interpretation was different.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, I mean, this is what we talk about with Derek, where, Derek did not... Derek obviously faced small amounts of adversity throughout, but he never faced a ton of adversity. He never had one of those big Dan's funeral moments moments. Most players don't. But I definitely want to see that from Tyler. And that's why I think it's going to be nice to see Bayleigh get the power next week. And that's, again, why I'm happy that Tyler, I think, is a deeply flawed player in the same way that Vanessa was, because I think that we are going to continue to see Tyler not just have things completely go his way over and over, just like they haven't just gone his way up until this point. So I'm excited. I'm excited to watch all of that moving forward for sure.
I have a question. Is it possible for us to talk about this season and not talk about Tyler for like the next 5 minutes? I just want to know if that's possible.
Sure. I mean, Brent, you're the one that brought him up. So let's talk about Kaitlyn. Because
let's talk about Kaitlyn.
Yes, because we've been talking about the love triangles. We've been talking about all of this stuff with Kaitlyn, and one of the reasons why she's super upset with Swaggy is because he made up this rumor about me and Fessy, and that I have a crush on Fessy, and that's not cool because I have a lot to lose outside of this house, and that's just not cool. We've got some breaking news. She does not have anything to lose outside of this house anymore.
The shade of it all.
Yes.
Yikes.
I mean, about as confirmed as it can be at the moment. We saw somebody on Twitter claiming to be the sister of her now ex-boyfriend, saying that the relationship is done. I believe that there's a few different ways that this has been confirmed, and this has been shared by other family members. So yes, it appears that this is over. There was even I don't usually go this far into the rumor mill, but there was even somebody on Reddit claiming to be somebody that she had had some kind of affair with previously, which, all right, like it wouldn't. I don't think it would surprise any of us if it was true, but no proof there. But for sure, it seems like this relationship is done, and she no longer has to worry about anything. And honestly, she's gonna be pissed when she gets out of the house and realizes that, you mean by week 3 I could have been doing all the things that I wanted to do and I didn't even know it. So yeah. That's happening.
Oh, boy.
I wish there was some way she could find out about this, Melissa. This would just be feeds gold. I mean, far be it for me to ask for BB Toombs to get the old megaphone or something. But I'm hoping maybe she wins HOH and she gets a Dear John letter or something like that. That would be the tea.
I was wondering if they would do that. If he would like write to her in the HOH or something, and just be like,
please, Grodner, please give it to us. We need that.
I just feel so bad for all parties involved. Yeah. But I'm just like, I was very annoyed when she was like, Swaggy started this rumor about me. And it's like, he did not start a rumor about you. Like, it was very obvious that you were very into Fessy. Like, it was very obvious to everybody. And to sit there and say that he started a rumor about you, no.
I'm really over Kaitlyn. Go ahead, Taryn. I'm sorry. I'm going to go for a while.
I personally don't want Kaitlyn to find out that she doesn't have a boyfriend anymore, because I feel like that will take away so much of the conflicting nature of her own personality, and I feel like it would take something away from the glorious mess that she is. I feel like Tyler would be... And Tyler, would be terrified. Oh my God. Yeah. If this whole time it's always like, look, I'm trying to prevent you from doing something that you'll regret. That's all it is. It's just, I'm trying to help you. Tyler might self-evict. Like, oh my God. The second she's like, guess what? I'm single. We can go for it. And he's just like, no, thank you.
By the way, Evil Dick said on Twitter that if the boyfriend pulls the release, for those of you who don't know, in order for like anybody to go on Big Brother and talk about somebody, you have to sign a waiver so that CBS doesn't get sued for, broadcasting slander or whatever the hell these people are going to talk about you. So when, Cody Calafiore goes in the house, his brother, his mom, his dad, his girlfriend, anybody who's, he might talk about, they're asked to sign waivers. And anybody who doesn't sign a waiver, that's when it goes to fish. Usually. So the boyfriend did sign a waiver because we saw a picture of him when she won HOH. But if he pulls the waiver, they will have to tell Kaitlyn, and that would be fun, Melissa. I know that Taryn isn't rooting for it, but I am.
Oh God, I feel bad for Tyler already. I just am so worried. Like I honestly though, let me just say that I felt that it was fairly innocent with the Fezzy thing, because it's like, yeah, she had a crush on him, but like, whatever, she could couch that in, he's my friend, we were allies, I'm worried that now he's going to turn to Haleigh if they have a showmance. And it was like, I could get it, like I could see the logic that she was giving us, even though I knew that wasn't the case. But like, you could really, that's something that could be a thing. But then she writes that stuff on Tyler's arm, and it's like, okay, you think that's gonna stop us from seeing what you're saying? Like, she wrote it so big, like, and it was just like, stop, don't do that. Like, and it's just that you can't explain that away. I mean, there's no way that I guess she could say, I didn't spell that, I spelled something else, but I don't, God, it's not.
No, and if you're in a committed relationship with somebody, I mean, maybe I'm old fashioned, but you don't go into like somebody's bed with them, and snuggle up with them, and put your nose in their neck and their smell. I mean, that does not happen in my universe. Does not.
It's not good. It's not good at all. And it's just, but with the Fezzy situation beforehand, when it was just like, it seemed very innocent, and now it seems very not innocent. And I want everyone to stop, because it's just so uncomfortable.
I got to the point where even JC asked Tyler earlier today, he's like, so are you in love with Kaitlyn? And he's like, serious question.
And he's like, oh, I'm dead serious.
Dude, are you really being serious? And he's like, well, people are saying that, so, and I'm sure Tyler was like, oh, really? He's like, no, she's just my sister. I'm really tired of this sister narrative.
I'm so tired of the brother-sister thing. Brothers and sisters do not do that. I have a brother, and I know. That is not cool. Not good.
Yes. I can picture it now. Like, everyone's called into the living room, and they inform Kaitlyn, and then she turns and she looks at Tyler, and he goes,
yeah.
And he runs he runs for the button. He self-evicts, and then she starts crying, and then she looks over at Fessy, and she's like, Fessy, and then he runs for the door, and then she just evicts two people, right? Best player of all time.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. Yeah, no, I do think that in the end she might actually end up with Brett. I mean, I know that Brett's been flirting a lot with her. I don't know if it's just because she's HOH though. Like, when she loses the power of HOH, she's basically powerless right now, unless some weird power comes up that they don't know about. Remember, these people don't know what the power is, so it's not like other weeks where, once the HOH names a replacement nominee, you can basically tell them to F off. This week, you never know what might happen on Thursday because of these powers that are floating around. So you have to kind of be nice to Kaitlyn all the way up until Thursday, when she is eventually when she has to give up her HOH power. So that's the part that I miss a little bit about the whole powers thing, is that we don't see that, because I feel like people would be a little bit more firm with Kaitlyn about their beliefs. The thing about talking to Kaitlyn is that she is one of these people who would just drive me crazy in the house, where you talk to her. So I'm going to be Kaitlyn. And you guys, I'm like, you are the ones talking. So Melissa's like, so Brent, like, you really should think about doing this because, Winston is a really terrible guy, and you can't talk to him at all. He's a total brick wall. You should really evict him. He might even put you up. Oh, and I would say, oh, okay, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, I get that. 5 minutes later, I'm talking to Taryn. Taryn's like, Brent, you should really think about evicting Swaggy here, because Swaggy doesn't have your best interest at heart. I know, I totally should evict him. Like, she just says yes to whoever is talking with her. Like, and it's not a I'm trying to think of the word. It doesn't have any meat on the bone. The yes, you know what I'm talking about? It's just a yeah. I should tell it. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's one of those. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. It's like, no.
Drives me crazy. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's what my intuition told me.
I hate this whole intuition and trust your gut thing. I'm getting so fed up with those two sayings, and I never want to hear about your intuition or your gut ever again.
Yeah, the people on Survivor are talking about their gut. I can't even remember the girl's name. Who is the girl's name who got voted out? It was always trusting her gut. The one who was always like team whatever. Oh God, these people, they go in and out of my head.
I know, me too. I don't know.
The one who was a little nutsy, who's dating Bradley now. Who was that girl? Kellen, yes. Kellen. Oh, yes. So Kellen was always talking about trusting my gut. Thank you. Yes, I see the chat room.
Your description made it harder because you hate Kellen so much that it was it's too mean.
She's okay, but whatever. You know. Yeah. So she's trusting her gut, and Kaitlyn is trusting her intuition, which is basically the same thing. And neither of these people should be trusting anything besides logic at this point, because their gut and their intuition is leading them the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, even like Tyler was talking to Sam today, and Sam has reached a point of like total enlightenment in the house, where she had this conversation with Swaggy, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, but she had a conversation with Swaggy where she like acted as his life coach essentially, and gave him some advice, told him to be sunshine Swaggy, and then at that point wanted to keep Swaggy momentarily at the very least, and now she just feels like she is like one with the energy of the house, and she is like, look, she's like an observer. She's not even playing the game. She's just there, and she's just seeing what's happening, and she has this honor and integrity, and she doesn't lie. She's not playing the game. She's just there to be light and to help people. Like she has somehow turned into pre-season Kaitlyn, and I don't know when this happened.
Yeah,
I don't know either.
I don't know how much longer this can last, though. I feel like that once she gets an eye-opening experience where somebody actively lies to her and, she finds out about it, or they're playing the game to her face, I do feel like that she's going to play a little bit harder. Even right now, she's like, well, we should probably keep, for a moment last night, she was like, we should keep Swaggy because you can actually talk to him. He has a bit of a heart, and you can have a one-on-one with him. Whereas Winston, it's like, even though he's a cool guy, it's like talking to a brick wall. And she's probably right about that. But the problem is that Tyler is able to swing her back to the other side and get her to vote the way that he wants her to vote. She's saying now that she would never use her power on Swaggy, even though I thought that was probably Swaggy's best chance of staying in the house was a rogue Sam, as Taryn said on the feeds earlier today, that maybe a rogue Sam would save Swaggy. I can see myself being that person in the house who would be like, F y'all, I'm just going to do the right thing and do what I want and girl bye to you. Like, I think there's a little bit of that in Sam, but I don't know if there's enough. I feel like the person we needed to have it was Rockstar. Rockstar would do whatever the hell she wanted to do with it. But Sam, I feel like she can still be molded if you give her the right kind of attention. But I'm not sure if all of Tyler's tricks work on her, and he has been lax about talking with Sam.
Yes, he like I said, like he's juggling things over here, and then the Sam ball is dropping over there, and then he hears that Sam was talking about saving Swaggy, and so he made sure to run and talk to her and pick up that ball and be like, so just putting this out here, you would never use the power to save Swaggy. We're like, that's no. And she's like, oh, no, never. I would never. Of course not. And he was like, oh, okay, good. In that case, whatever. And I think part of Sam's transformation is the fact that she is safe for 4 weeks, essentially. She doesn't feel like she's playing the game because she, like you said, Brent, she's got no skin in the game. She's not vulnerable anymore. So it's, it's nothing to play for. But we'll see that change eventually, I hope. But that's become her new identity. We talked about this, like why she was crying, because you go into the house and you have to find a new identity if you find yourself not able to act the way that you normally would. And I think this is her newfound identity, which is this sort of enlightened, monk persona. And I'm definitely worried that that's just going to continue for the rest of the season, because that'd be very boring and annoying, and she would definitely get dragged to the end. So
yeah. Can I take back my whole I want Steve to go during week 1 thing?
Yes. So let's get into the stock watch.
By the way, I'm sorry, before we get into the stock watch, I know that they said that Steve is going to be out of the house, but girlfriend, I have not seen him. He is not, and also when they did the house calls thing with Ross and Marissa, whatever, I forget her name.
We've each done it today.
I know,
all
right?
Now Taryn's turn.
They only showed him the show, which he was there for, and they did not tell him anything about who voted for who. And they were talking about it after, like, oh, he's going to be so surprised when he gets home. But chat, help me. I have not seen him they said he was going home, but I have not seen him. His account has not tweeted anything. I think they might have changed their minds after they saw what was happening on Thursday night. They knew Swaggy was maybe going to be the target here, because I thought that Swaggy going home. I thought that, if Swaggy, what I'm trying to say is, if Swaggy was evicted, there would be no battle back. There would be no way for him to come back into the game. But I haven't seen Steve, and so I'm thinking that there's a possibility of it. What do you think, Terry?
I'm pretty sure he was on Twitter.
I saw retweets on Twitter, but I never saw a tweet from him.
Right.
I'm seeing in the chat that people saw him on Twitter.
I'm seeing people say he's not on Twitter too. So who knows?
Okay, yeah, there's one person that said that.
I saw earlier they said his kids are still running his Twitter. I mean, it's also possible that he's like an older guy. He doesn't use Twitter. I mean, my dad never used Twitter.
It's also possible that the producers have told them, hey, just don't say anything. Just continue, act like Steve's home. But we have not seen him. He hasn't done. Are you really telling me that Steve wouldn't do an interview on camera, or he'd come on to a podcast or talk to somebody? I'm just throwing that out there. I think that's a reasonable possibility.
Court just said he was on a podcast yesterday. No, that's probably. I think that was a joke.
Lies and deception.
I do think I have seen people talk about the fact that he was told some information about the house and regarding the votes in particular. I don't know where he was told that information.
I'll have to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I just kind of like. I've seen a lot of people say, okay, confirmed, Steve is outside of the house, so I've just kind of been taking it as fact. But it's
I had too
until
someone pointed out to me that we haven't really seen him. So I'm just I think that's a possibility. That's all. Because Swaggy's a big character, and I don't think they want to lose him, and I don't want to lose him, and I just think that that's true.
All right, let's get into the stock watch here then. Hopefully this works. We've got it up. All right. So we do have some additional rules that we neglected to mention last time. Part of this is just not really relevant to us three playing because we'd never do this anyway. But in case you're playing at home and you need these additional rules, one of them is that you must buy at least one share of stock every single week. You cannot just continue to not buy anything. And then the other one, to further that idea, is that we are going to cap the amount of money that you can hold at any given time at $20. So that essentially means that you need to spend enough so that you have $10 or less going into the next week if you don't want to waste the new $10 that you get, if that makes sense. Because if you have, say, $12, when you come into the next week, it caps out at 20, so you'll only get 8 instead of 10. So that's how it will work. Again, it won't really be that relevant to what we're doing, because we're on a podcast. We'd never let each other just hoard all our money. But in case you're playing at home, that's how we have decided to move forward with it.
Fabulous. So there's a bee in my room, so I'm gonna mute myself and try. I'm gonna try to kill it and go off camera because it's really making me nervous, and I look like a crazy person trying to swat stuff. Okay, all right, but girl, bye. I'll be right back.
I was like, man, aliens are invading or something's going on there with Brent.
Looking crazy. What's going on?
It's the stock watch. It's too much for me.
It's the stock watch. Too excited.
All right.
I was thinking that for the stock watch, we should use that music that they use during the HOH competitions when they do the numbers. And Julie's like, all right, house guests, like, you got to make your choice. And it's like, do, 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 do. I think we need to use that music while we decide what our stocks are for each person.
Well, I'll get on that. For sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right. So while Brent is attempting to murder a bee, let's start talking about these people. We'll start with Kaitlyn here, who is the first person up. We need to give Kaitlyn a rating 1 out of 10. We have also polled the audience on their thoughts about Kaitlyn's game, and they have rated her. They have given her a rating 1 out of 10. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. And this is about their game, not their personalities. This is about their game. Just a reminder to anyone that really loves certain people and really hates other people. So let's talk about Kaitlyn, who has had a crazy week. She is HOH right after she flipped on her alliance, but she still wants to remain friends with her alliance. She has essentially had this HOH run by Tyler. However, because it's been run by Tyler, it's actually not going that poorly for her. She seems to be getting away with minimal blood on her hands. Even the people that are blaming her for this move would seemingly go after Tyler before her, and anybody on the other side still has bigger fish to fry than Kaitlyn. So what do you think, Melissa? How do you feel about Kaitlyn? What kind of rating would you give her?
Are we still doing the same thing where it's like worse or better than last week, or are we just rating fresh?
No, we can definitely compare it to the rating that she had last week, that you gave her last week, but you're rating her on this week, 1 out of 10.
Okay. I think I have to rate her lower, even though she's coming out this week, like, you know, relatively unscathed in that apparently the people she's betraying don't really care. But at the same time, I don't see her as a strong person anymore who would make game decisions that are best for her game. I think she would just do whatever the boy that she likes tells her to do. And that makes me worried for her game moving forward. So I think based on that information, I'm going to have to give her a 4.
Okay. Brent, how do you feel about Kaitlyn? What rating would you give her this week?
Yeah, I think she's a crazy person. I'm going to give her a 2. I don't like where she's going at all. I think she's entirely too volatile to remain in the Big Brother game much longer. I think that she's going to annoy people. I think that there's no way that she can hide her true feelings. For a lot of these people, I think she is easily manipulated, and so that might be her best hope, that somebody like Tyler or somebody else picks her up and says, oh, I can, you know, she believes anything I tell her. I can obviously use her. But I think that she is just such a big personality that she's not long for this game. So I think that Kaitlyn's going to go home sooner than later, and I'm going to give her a 2. I don't think that things are going to go her way. That's all.
All right. And I just brought up the previous week's ratings. So previously, Melissa gave Kaitlyn a 6. Brent previously gave Kaitlyn a 6 as well. I gave her a 5 last week, and I am going to downgrade her a bit here to a 4. Because while I do think she's playing very poorly, I think that she's being manipulated in a lot of different ways. I think that her, just the fact that she is so close to Tyler, and he is sort of guiding her through things are kind of working out for her. She's still maintaining the relationships that she does have. I could see this being a situation where, similar to like where Josh gets dragged along for a while and then ends up winning against somebody, who played a more aggressive game. That's kind of where I could see Kaitlyn end up right now. So I'm not going to go below a 4, even though a 3 is calling to me. But I'm going for 4. But let's talk about where the audience sees Kaitlyn. The audience has given Kaitlyn a rating of 4 out of 10. So the audience.
I
thought
it was going to say 1.
Oh, it's audience with a 4 there.
Nice.
So the audience has maintained. The audience gave her a 4 last time as well, so they feel similarly. We have all gone down on Kaitlyn, but the audience has remained consistent. All right, let's talk now about who's the next person up here. Let's talk about Swaggy. Swaggy, who is on the block, he just got backdoored. Let's talk about where Swaggy is this week. I personally do not feel great about where Swaggy is. I was thinking about how I would rate Swaggy earlier in the day, and even just earlier in the day, I was feeling like I'd maybe give him like a 3 or a 4, just because he seems to be doing pretty well in his campaign. He was talking to Sam. He was was getting Sam on board. He had previously managed to get Kaitlyn on board at one point, and things were looking like maybe they could somehow pull through. But after hearing Sam's conversation with Tyler and knowing that Sam is unwilling to use the power on Swaggy, and in fact also is willing to vote however Tyler wants her to vote this week, I'm gonna have to go with a 2 out of 10 for Swaggy right now. I think that he is almost definitely on his way out the door. Not a 1, because I do think he's doing a decent job in campaigning, but it is going to be a 2. I had previously rated Swaggy a 4, but things are just not looking great for him. Brent, what do you think?
Yeah, I had previously filled out my list, and I had given Swaggy a 1. So I'm just being honest about where I feel right now. I know that he is doing an admirable job about in staying, and if he ends up staying, I'll look like an idiot. But I just don't think. I think everything is too airtight on Tyler's side. I think there are too many people who are scared little chickens right now. Scottie, Haleigh, I'm looking at you, even Fessy, who are trying to acquiesce to what the power is telling them to do. I am shocked that Scottie is as weak-minded as he apparently is, if he's buying everything that Tyler is telling him right now. I mean, he just has to know that part of that is not true. And so I'm hoping that this little tiff with the bros might tip him off. But then even after that, he seemed to believe it. So I'm sorry, I'm talking about Scottie. But Swaggy, it's a 1. It's not going to work. He's going to go home. His best chance is that the producers change their mind and are putting in a battle back. Fingers crossed, but other than that, he's out.
All right,
yeah,
Melissa.
I'm going to have to give him a 2 just because I feel like there's still a chance that he could stay. It seems unlikely, but I don't think he's doing anything wrong with his campaigning besides the fact that he brought Tyler into that conversation too early. I think he should have. It was good that he said, I need to do this in front of Tyler so that Tyler can't spin what I'm saying. But I think he should have done the majority of it in front of Kaitlyn and then only talked about the stuff that Tyler said about him with Tyler. I don't think the whole conversation should have been open to Tyler at all. I know you've covered this in the morning updates and everything, but that's like one of the reasons why I have to rate him so low, even though, I want to rate him higher because I do feel like he's doing a good job campaigning, but these people are just, they're so weak-minded that they're willing to do whatever Tyler says. So, we'll just have to see. But I think, odds are he's going home, so I'm going to give him a 2.
I'm really curious at what the Swaggy would have been if Bayleigh wasn't in the house.
Yes.
Because he really doesn't have chemistry with any of the other girls. And Bayleigh is an absolutely gorgeous girl. I'm just wondering, if she wasn't there, what would have happened? How much would he have spread out and had a little bit more social capital with other people in the house? I would like to look at that universe, but unfortunately that's not the universe we're living in, Melissa.
It reminds me of Cody and Jess, like how we were like, I wonder what it would have been like if they weren't in the house together. But also the fact that during his campaigning, one of his main selling points was him saying, Bayleigh's my girlfriend and we would vote together. And that's not a selling point at all. That if anything, that's like a really bad thing to say, is to say that we're always going to vote together or we're always going to be there for each other. Like, you don't say that sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely been a hindrance to his game for sure.
I think part of why Swaggy is gonna go home so early is because he dared go against the verbiage of the great Dr. Will, who coined the showmance back in season 2, and Swaggy's trying to recreate it by saying, no, she's my girlfriend. She's not a showmance. It's a girlfriend. It's not how it works on Big Brother, Swaggy. It's not how it works.
No.
What did the audience say? Do they think he's dead in the water, or do they think he has a chance?
So previously, the audience gave Swaggy a 4. This week, the audience gave Swaggy a 3 out of 10. Lower than before, but not quite as low as us. They still have a little bit of hope for Swaggy.
There's some wishers and some hopers out there who are voting in your poll.
Yes, definitely. We'll talk about Rockstar's votes as well. So Kaitlyn's stock price has gone down from $5 to $4. Swaggy's has tanked, gone down to half as much, from $4 to $2. So if you have any Swaggy stock or Kaitlyn stock at this point, not looking great for you. Let's move on to Winston, who is the other person on the block right now. Seems to be doing all right. He seems to be he's
I don't mean to interrupt you. We can talk about Winston. I missed the rules. So are we gonna? We're all gonna buy at the end after we've already set the prices, right?
Yes.
Buy and sell and all that. And what were the other rules? Are you have to buy one stock a week?
Yes.
And you can't have more than $20 in any time.
$10.
Did I miss
I
anything
thought
else?
$10.
You basically at the end of this week you want 10 or less so that you get the full 10 next time because the cap is 20.
Aha. Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you.
All right.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm interrupt you. So we can talk about Winston. I apologize.
Yes, let's talk about Winston. Sorry, I did forget to say that, Josh. You can vote on these polls if you follow me on Twitter at ArmstrongTaryn. I will tweet out it's a Google form that you have to fill out. It's very easy. It's 1 out of 10, and I retweet it multiple times throughout the day, so it should hopefully be hard to miss. But that's where you can find the poll. So let's talk about Winston. He is on the block. He could theoretically go home this week, but he seems to be doing all right so far. That said, it's still Winston. So, Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, when it comes to Winston, it's tricky because he seems to be in a fine spot, but people don't like him, first of all. Even people in his own alliance don't like him. And also, him and Angela seem to be the biggest targets in that level 6 alliance, and people don't really care if they leave or not. So I feel like with Brett, you at least have people who like Brett and want to keep him around or trying to add him to other alliances. And Rachel, like a little bit of that, but a little bit less so. But with Winston and Angela, I don't see anybody trying to pull them in. From 6. I'm going to have to give Winston a 4.
All right, Brent.
Yeah, we got the important part there.
Darn it! What did you miss?
We heard
insightful things.
No, we just missed like 5 seconds of it. We got that you rated him a 4. I actually gave him a 2. I think he's playing terribly right now. And by the way, I'm trying to be a little less fancy Fencerton with some of these ratings because I feel like last week was a lot of like 4s, 5s, 6s. And now that we've got to know these people a little bit more, I can take more of a stand on where I think they are and how they're doing insofar as the game, insofar as building social relationships in the house, bonds, any social currency that they have. And Winston is completely lacking in all of that. The only person he has any social currency with is Brett. Everyone else can't stand him. You can't even talk to him. He's like talking to a brick wall, like Sam said. And Sam is like one of the easier people to talk to in the house. I feel like if she can't even get Winston to open up, I don't know who can. He's a paranoid nutcase most of the time, and there's no way he's winning this game. So I'm gonna give him a 2.
Yes. So Brent is being much less fancy Fencerton, giving the exact same rating as last week, a 2.
Did I really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I gave him a 4 last week. I'm going to go ahead and give him a 3 this week. He has not shown any signs of improvement. He's now on the block. He's not shown much composure on the block. I think his chances of winning just continue to go down at this point. There may be a point where it starts to go back up, but at the moment, it's not looking great. So I'm going to give him a 3. And
what did I give him last week?
You gave him a 3 last week. So you actually went up on him this week.
Well, I think it's because he's staying, and that's convincing me that that he's doing something right.
There you go. The audience last week gave Winston a 4. This week, they are giving him a 3. They have gone down as well. So the stock price for Winston here is looking like it's going to stay the same, but definitely the trend line seems to be going down. Let's now talk about Angie, Rockstar, or no, not Rockstar, just regular Angela.
Regular Angela. Okay.
Yes.
Alegna,
yes. Let's talk about Angela because she continues to be just nowhere to be seen. I don't know what Angela's doing in this house. She's just like all over the place. She's not playing much, but she's also like she was more of a target last week than she is this week. So I do feel better about her this week in some regards, but not by much. I do feel like she's gonna stick around for a while. Last week I gave her a 3. This week I'm gonna go to a 4 because I do think that the target on her back is starting to go away, but she has not improved her game consciously in any way. Brent, what do you think?
I gave her a 4, and previously I gave her a 5. I think that she is not the player that I thought she was. I thought she had a little bit more game to her. I am really disappointed about the fact that I don't see her on the feeds a lot. And when I do see her on the feed, she's always talking to Rachel or maybe Kaycee. She doesn't branch out and talk to other girls, other guys in the house. She's sort of like the male version of Swaggy, who just like stays over to their side and doesn't really talk to anybody else. And I do feel like she would do well to branch out. She reminds me of some of the mean girls in high school, and I don't think that archetype ever wins on Big Brother. But given the fact that she is completely and utterly boring to most of the house guests, I gave her a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give her a 5, similar to what you guys did. You know, she's nowhere to be seen. And I feel like last week we heard her name thrown around a lot more. So I think that if she keeps laying low like this, these other people will rise up and become bigger targets. So I think that she's doing better than she was last week.
All right. The audience last week gave her a 4, and this week also gave her a 4. So hovering right around the same area. Melissa and I think she's gone up. Brent thinks she's gone down, and the audience has remained the same. But overall, not much movement on Angela, which is exactly where we should be on her because she doesn't move. Next, let's talk about Bayleigh, because Bayleigh's a very interesting person to talk about here, because I think a lot has changed for Bayleigh. Last week when we talked about her, she was in a good alliance. She was next to a huge target. She would definitely go before her. And things were looking not too bad for her. This week, everything has changed. Swaggy is on the block. It looks like he's going to go home. Her alliance has crumbled, and we don't know where she's going to go. However, I think we can remain fairly confident that she's going to get the power next week. We're pretty confident about that for 2 reasons. One is that Vegas on Twitter, the spoiler, has said that Tyler just barely edged her out in the vote this week. And then, talking about how the edit usually works on Big Brother, she is definitely going to be seen as an underdog, which I do think will push her to the top, and she will receive a power for next week. Those are 2 things, or that in itself is going to do her wonders. And then also, I do think that she is starting to shift away from her previous position fairly well so far. So I don't know. I'm a little bit up in the air on Bayleigh. Brent, how do you feel about her?
I actually gave her a 7, which is higher than I gave her last week. I gave her a 6 last week, and I was the highest of everybody. I do feel like she's going to get the power. I think there's no doubt about that. She's going to be the, aggrieved widow in the showman's, whose man leaves her, and she's in the house, sort of like Jessica and Cody, where Cody left, and then the next week, Jessica got the hex. So I think that's what's going to happen to Bayleigh. I also love the fact that she is very good at being fake with people. And in this house, you need to be, because a lot of people are snakes, and they'll tell other people what conversations you're having. And she's really good at the flight attendant thing. Of course, she is a flight attendant, where she's able to smile to people and put on a happy face and say, hey, I'm sorry about that. That was a misunderstanding. And, I hope you understand. I mean, I love you and you're great. And, just be fake as hell. She's like, we need to be fake as hell. So she gets that. I do worry about the fact that the one person who probably has a bit of misgivings about her is Tyler, and maybe even to a more extent, Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn had some not so nice things to say about Bayleigh in conjunction with putting Swaggy on the block. So I don't know if there's anything more to that than what she said. But if in considering those people are likely to have some say in what's going to happen next week, I feel like that she might be in a little bit of danger. But I am comforted by the fact that Fezzi is an obvious target. Rockstar is an obvious target. Even if the power goes against her next week and somebody else gets HOH, I do not feel like she would go home. And I do feel like that once another member of Faute goes home, that things are going to start to reset, because there's only so much room in an alliance for everybody. I mean, not everybody can be in the alliance, or everybody is safe. So I feel like that she'll be part of that phase 2 of the game. So that's why I gave her a 7.
All right. Brent, you previously gave her a 6, so you have gone up on Bayleigh. I gave her a 4 last week, and I'm going to give her a 4 again this week. But there is a difference. I do think that her position in the game has gone down. So you might think I'd go down on her. You might think I'd be lower on her. But I actually like how she's positioned herself, given the fact that Swaggy is on the block now. I think that before, 4 was kind of a bit of a limit on her, where she was kind of in this spot, and I felt like she wasn't in a great spot in the alliance. I felt like she was too focused on Swaggy, but with Swaggy leaving, I do think that she has a lot of room to move up. That said, for now, she is still a 4 for me. Melissa, how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel similarly in that I'm going to keep her at my same one from last week, which was a 5. And I think that she has the potential with Swaggy leaving. Like, Swaggy leaving is not so great for her game, but also at the same time, it could be really great for her game. And it really depends what she does with it. And I feel like it's too early to say whether or not it's going to be a benefit or a detriment to her game. So I'm going to keep my rating the same. But it's possible to go up next week if she gets the power, or if she somehow solidifies herself in with these people again, or if she kind of falls back behind the radar and nobody really notices her anymore with Swaggy gone. So I'm going to keep her at a 5.
Yes. And the audience rated her a 4 last week. This week, they've given her a 5 out of 10. So the audience has gone up on Bayleigh, which does not surprise me given the fact that I think that her sort of popularity in general is going to be on the rise, especially moving forward from this week and then getting the power. So there is Bayleigh. Her price is going to remain the same. But like I said, I think it could be going up. So this might be a good time to buy Bayleigh if you're willing to take a risk. But let's talk about Brett next. Brett, who is nothing has changed that much with Brett. He's still in his alliance. Really just his alliance is in a more crushing position than it was before. And he seems to be the person with the most amount of connection to the other side. So he seems to be in a pretty good spot. But Melissa, how do you feel?
I feel really good about Brett. I think that people tend to really like him. And even when they're talking about him, they're like, I want to keep Brett around. I want to add Brett to this alliance. I want to, I really like him as a person. He's really fun. And I think that that's going to be really good for him down the line. Especially when people start targeting that level 6 alliance. I really don't think that he's going to be anywhere near anyone else's target. And I feel like they're going to bring him into whatever new alliances form. So I feel really good about his chances. And I think that I'm going to give him a 7.
Right. I'm also going to give him a 7. That's what I gave him. I'm pleased to hear you say that. I think that he's actually one of these guys that he's like a big guy, but and muscly, but I don't think people really pay attention to that, or at least they haven't right now. And I think that there are going to be other threats that rear their head, and they're going to be like, oh, he's just kind of I think that fact that he acts like a bro sort of helps the douchiness and the dumbness of it all. Like, they think that, there's not a lot going on upstairs. We don't really need to worry about him. As the game continues, I feel like he will learn more and more of the game and absorb it. He's certainly a very smart guy, and people like him. Winston is the nutcase. Brett is the sane one. So I do feel like that on balance, usually Winston is going to go home. Of course, if people like Scottie and Haleigh have their way, they'll probably send Brett home over Winston. But it's really, the thing we always underestimate on the outside is living with these people. It's one thing for us to say, oh, you should obviously keep Winston because Brett is the tougher to beat at the end. But you got to live with these people. And 4, 5, 6 weeks of living with frickin' Winston, giving crazy eyes to you, might be enough for these people to say, I don't care. Even Scottie's like, I just want to get rid of him. So I could totally see Brett staying in the house for the long haul. He's certainly a sweet guy. He's a little boring, a little white bread, but I gave him a 7.
I gave Brett a 6 last time. I do think his position has improved. However, I've also seen things from him, like lying to Scottie when I didn't think it was necessary. Right. I felt like the way that he handled Kaitlyn before her nominations were set was very poor. Talking like, I need to talk to Tyler. Like, can we just talk to Tyler? Because I don't know what to say here. That wasn't really great for me. So in terms of like how I see his potential, that's gone down, but his position has gone up, which leads me sort of back where I was initially, and I'm going to give him a 6 for Brett. The audience had previously given him a 6, and this week the audience previously gave Brett a 5, and this week the audience gave Brett a 6. So the audience has gone up on Brett this week, which, I think that's fair. So Brett's stock price, I believe, is going to be up $1. Yes, there we go. So yeah, it's there you go. Let's move on to Fessy, who none of us were very high on previously, and I don't know if that's going to change. Brent, what do you think?
I gave him a 2. There's no way he's winning this game. He just doesn't know what to do. His best bet is being used by somebody and somehow dumbassing his way to the end. But there's just no freaking way that this guy is winning Big Brother. He doesn't even realize in many ways that there's a game being played around him. And I'm taking an honest look at these people. Okay, I'm looking at you guys in the camera. I'm taking an honest look at these people and saying to myself, can they win the game? And there's no way. There's just no way that they're even going to let a guy who's this big, this athletic. That's still a stereotype in reality TV show games, that you don't want to let a guy who looks like this get anywhere near to the end. And even though he is a bit of a dummy, I don't think that that's going to save him. So I think he's out second or third juror at best. So I gave him a 2.
Melissa?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep my rating the same. If you would ask me a couple of days ago, I would have said he went down. But because I feel like he talked to Tyler, and I think Tyler sees him as a good number for him, as kind of a meat shield, and just to go out there and be the Caleb, the loyal beast mode cowboy. And so I think that he has a good chance of sticking around. My concern with Fessy is that, number one, he's losing Swaggy, which was one of his biggest allies, and number 2, I'm worried about his ability to contain his feelings or emotions or anger when it comes to when he's just pissed off. He's going to say it. When Kaitlyn came up to him trying to talk to him, and he was like I'm in the middle of playing, oh yeah, you don't tell me crap or whatever, and just was not going to hear it from her. And I'm worried that sort of reaction, and the fact that he was super pissed afterwards and wouldn't speak to anyone, and I just think that it makes me worried for the future. If something were to piss him off, he might just be pissed off and not see that as an opportunity to game. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about him, but I'm just going to keep my rating the same, just because I do see him as someone who could win competitions, and I do see him as someone that Tyler would take under his wing.
Yes, I'm also going to keep my rating as the same. I previously gave him a 2, and that's going to stay that way. I think it's very possible. In fact, it's almost probable that Fessy is the worst player in the house. And I think that's say what you want about Rockstar, who might be on her way out. I don't think she's a very great player either, but at least she has the perception to know what's going on, even if she's playing it poorly. I think Fessy can maybe play his cards a little better than Rockstar, but he's so clueless. I really feel like he makes a case for a worst player in the house. So I'm going to give him a 2. The audience is going to also remain consistent. So everybody is going to remain the same here. The audience is going to give him a 3 once again. So everything remains the same for Fessy this week. Let's move on to the apple of his eye, Haleigh, who managed to get away with less physical contact with Fessy this week. So that's pretty good. That's enough for a one number up rating, right?
Yeah, always good.
Yeah. Obviously, her alliance was sort of blown up. I think she is one of the people who is handling it the best, however. I think that she is sort of pivoting and positioning herself with people like Brett, and she's retained Rockstar's loyalty. She's retained Kaitlyn's loyalty for the most part. She still does have Fessy. Tyler knows that she's on to him a little bit, but he doesn't know to the extent that she is. She still needs to watch out for Scottie, who still thinks that she's a very dangerous player. However, Scottie has repositioned himself to be like, you know what? If she's a really good player, I want her on my side. So I do feel pretty good about Haleigh myself. I gave her a 7 last week. I feel like that is going to remain the same this week. I feel like she deserves a 7. I'm very interested in her potential moving forward. I do think it could go up, but I'm sticking with a 7 for now. Melissa, how do you feel about it?
I'm going to increased her rating to an 8. I was at a 7, and I'm going to give her an 8 because I think that she's, through her handling of this whole Swaggy thing and the breakup of her alliance and all that, she's shown that she's able to adapt really well to whatever is thrown at her. I think that it's been very impressive the way that she's just managed to become one with the other group and seem very natural hanging out with them. And, I just think it's great that the way that she's been able to handle herself. And I don't know if I'd be able to handle myself that well. I think I would say something like, "What are you doing, Kaitlyn?" But, I think that it's good for her game to be doing it this way. And so, yeah, I got to give her a better score. And I'm very excited about her potential.
I'm excited about her potential too, but I did go down because I gave her an 8 last week, and I'm going to give her a 7 this week. I think I can't really give her a better score considering that 2 weeks in a row she hasn't gotten her way. I mean, she's lost an ally what's probably going to be 2 weeks in a row. So I don't know that that's necessarily showing me anything good about her, except for the fact that she's been able to react well to that. And I do think that of the Faute people, any remnants of them, I do think that she's probably the last person to be targeted. I also think that she could be absorbed into whatever forms out of phase 2 of this game. If people become aware that, Tyler and Brett and Winston are a powerful force in the house and they're all working together. I can see the girls. I can see Rachel. Rachel kind of wants to make a move. I don't know. We'll talk about her later, but I feel like she's a little antsy. She wants to make sure that she's not the least trending house guest. So I do feel like there are opportunities here for Haleigh, but I can't give her a better score considering the way the last 2 weeks have gone. So I gave her a 7.
All right. So previously the audience was, and we can even see in the chat, the audience, I think, generally feels like we're a bit high on Haleigh. They previously gave her a 6, and they are going to remain the same there. They're giving her a 6 once again. The audience seems to be in disagreement with us about Haleigh. They are not as high on Haleigh as we are.
That they are, if I'm reading them correctly, and I don't know if I can, but I think they are a little bit like me in that we were hoping for a little bit of yes, queen from Haleigh, and we so didn't get that. In fact, She was feeding Kaitlyn and trying to support her, saying, oh, well, Kaitlyn was standing up for herself. I don't know if that sat well with a lot of people. I think if you objectively look at her game, though, I think you have to give her credit for being able to fake some fakeness with these people because they are totally insufferable, many of them. And she's been able to do that. And not many people are aware. They're aware that she's doing it. But as we saw in Big Brother Canada 6, being aware of something that's going on around you and actively taking a moment and an action to do something about it are two totally different things. I don't think anybody's really going to come for Haleigh. And plus, there's Fessy, who likes her. Tyler likes her. I think it's Tyler's biggest blind spot in the game. I still maintain that. So, and I know you said that too, Taryn. So, yeah, I think that's what's going on.
I will say that, I personally was very frustrated with Haleigh this week. The second that Kaitlyn told her about the Swaggy plan, I thought for sure Haleigh, it's all going to happen. Haleigh's going to do something about it. She's going to stop this. She's going to realize what's going on and go to Rockstar, and they're going to do something. They're going to get Swaggy to go to Kaitlyn or whatever. And then nothing happened. And if anything, Haleigh was like, I support whatever you decide. And I get why she did that, but it was frustrating to watch because I thought that once Kaitlyn revealed that information, it was going to be, all hell was going to break loose because that's really bad for Haleigh and Rockstar to lose an ally and to totally destroy their alliance in this way. And I guess Haleigh, I think, should have done something to stop it. I wish she did, but at the same time, she's found a way to kind of jump ship and kind of get in with the other side and adapt to not doing anything about it. So,
Taryn,
yeah.
What do you think about that? Are you with, because me and Melissa were like, I also thought that Haleigh made a mistake here. I think there was a moment in time where she and Rockstar could have pulled Kaitlyn back to their side and said, no, talk to Swaggy. He did not say he loves you. What are you talking about? But they totally didn't. They let this thing happen.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was an error on their part. Are you with me on that? Or you think that they probably chose the course of least resistance here?
I'm definitely with you on that. I think I said as much on the Sunday night episode or recap that, yeah, I feel like if they pushed, they could have changed her mind. And they didn't. I mean, look how easily she was swayed by Swaggy himself after she put him on the block. I really feel like, and they were two of the people that were the most adamant about Swaggy not talking to Kaitlyn. And I feel like if Swaggy had talked to Kaitlyn, all of this could have been avoided. But they were playing a little too cautiously, and I really feel like that ended up costing them this week. But I do feel like Haleigh is the perfect embodiment of this underdog paradox that I was talking about, where Haleigh and Rockstar, I think, feel very similarly about the game and about everything, about Tyler. The difference is that Rockstar is saying it to people's faces, giving Brent life on the feeds, like, this is exactly what I want to see, whereas Haleigh is hiding it, which is better gameplay, but disappointing to people who don't want to see her, like, standing up for Kaitlyn or any of those things. So I really feel like this is a situation where it's like, I feel like people could like Haleigh. The problem is that she's playing too well for them to be, like, liking her.
Yeah, she's a little too much of a rat floater right now for us to really embrace.
Yeah, no, totally. And I definitely think that something could have been done about this. And I was surprised that Haleigh just went along with it when Kaitlyn told her. I thought maybe she'd be like, really? Why do you want to do that? I don't understand. And then she tells Rockstar, and I thought, okay, now it's starting. Now something's going to happen. The two of them are going to figure out a way to get out of this. And then they did it, and they were just like, don't tell anyone. Let's just keep it quiet. And that was like, okay, well, I don't get this. I am very confused as to why no one's doing anything about it, and they're just letting it happen. And maybe they thought that they'd be able to get the votes and it wouldn't be a big deal and they'd just get Winston out. I don't know. But it was very weird to me that nothing was even attempted. Like, Haleigh didn't even try. And maybe it's because Haleigh does think that Swaggy did say those things, because she did say, well, he did say it. He did say that stuff. So maybe she's thinking, yeah, it makes sense that Kaitlyn would want to target him because he did say those things, and I can't really defend him. But she's not thinking about it from, like, an alliance perspective, where it's like, that's your alliance. You need to keep them around no matter what, even if it means saying he never said that,
Yes.
Oh, wow.
All right. So that was Haleigh. Let's move on to JC, who is, again, just like, he's kind of an enigma. He runs around. He seems like he doesn't have any, like, super personal close bonds with people, but he does have good conversations with them. He seems to be able to talk strategy with just about anybody, and he's very consistent with his lies as well, which is very, very good for him. Melissa, how do you feel about JC? What kind of rating would you give him?
I think I'm just going to stick with my 5 again, just because I really don't know what's going on with JC. I feel like he acts very confident in what he's saying, but then people sometimes behind his back just say, like, oh yeah, JC doesn't know what he's talking about. So I don't really know if he knows what he's doing, but he seems so confident. I mean, that whole thing with the Yadis or whatever thing, like, he seemed so confident in saying it that, like, you believe he knows what he's talking about. You believe that he knows what's going on in the house, and you believe that he has information that you don't know. Because he says a lot of the time, like, don't be an idiot, don't be stupid. And, like, so people are like, oh, I don't want to be stupid. But at the same time, I have no idea where he's going with it. And that's why I'm just going to keep middle for now.
Taryn, I'm wondering about your rating, because you gave him a 3 last week. I had given him a 7. This is the one we were the most far apart on. I'm curious about where you are with JC right now before I reveal what I say.
Yes, he is the person I think that I have changed my opinion the most on. He seemed like he was so out there at first, but the more I listened to what he was actually saying, the more it kind of clicked with me, like, he's actually doing a decent job. So I did previously give him a 3. I'm going to double that and give him a 6. I think that he has potential in this game. I do think his the major thing he has to get over again is just like he needs to have more close bonds with people. The person he's closest to is probably Tyler, but most people, they like him, but they don't feel like they can like really talk to him because he kind of talks at people, and it's hard to like just like really relate and bond with him. If he's able to get through that barrier, then I think that he can do very well. But for right now, it's a 6 for me.
Yeah, like I said, I gave him a 7 last week, and I'm going to give him a 7 again. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. I think that he's probably a lock for any endurance competition. Of course, I've said that before, and they've been totally wrong. There might be some different kind of endurance competition that they have. But I do like the way he plays this game. He's very nonchalant, but he's very loyal. He's sneaky. He's pretty cool with his lies, as you mentioned, consistent in what he says, and can look at you with a straight face and just, totally lie. And I'm all about that. So I feel good about his long-term prospects in the game. I do share your concern, though, that nobody really has ownership over JC. He's sort of like the +1 in every sort of group. And so, but on the other hand, if you're looking at the Steve Moses strategy, you kind of always want to be like the bottom of the alliance, the +1, because when people come for you, maybe they won't come for you. But I'm worried that in a house like this, where everybody's sort of maybe afraid to make a big move, and I don't know that they are afraid to make a big move, but if they are, JC is always an easy person to throw up there. And if that happens, that's not good for him.
Yes. So last week, the audience gave JC a 5 out of 10. This week, the audience has given him a 6 out of 10. The audience has gone up on JC, just like me, and they gave him a 6 out of 10. So the stock price for JC is on the rise. Let's talk about the other C, Kaycee, who has anything changed with her? I don't think so.
I don't even want to rate her. I just want to give her an I for an incomplete, like when you were in school and you missed like half the semester and they'd give you an I. I would like to give that to her. I know I can't, but I don't know what the hell do I do with this girl. I mean, she's never on the feeds. She's part of an alliance, arguably. She's so boring. She might actually win the game. She seems relatively sweet. She seems like someone I should want to root for. She breaks all gender stereotypes, and I love all that sort of thing and standing up for yourself. But on the other hand, I don't even see her on the feeds very much. I just knocked over my notepad here. But,
you also knocked Melissa over. She's vanished.
Oh, okay. Oh,
like literally in the video, your video like kicked hers over. It's
cool. Oh, I see it now on YouTube. You're right. Wow. How did that happen? Okay.
Yes.
Melissa's still here. But the people in the chat are like, where did Melissa go? She's still here. Yeah, she'll be back.
Oh, she is still here. Where is she?
She's here. It's like I can see her. Why can't
her video has not come back yet.
Really?
Try toggling it.
Can you see me, Brent?
I can see you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just try toggling it. Brent, in the meantime, what is your rating for Kaycee?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I gave her a 6 last week. I guess I give her a 6 this week. I don't know what the hell to do with her. I mean, does anybody have any ideas in the chat? I mean, I'm listening. I'm willing to listen. Taryn, try to talk me into something else.
I can't because I also gave her a 6 again. I feel the same way that you do. So I don't even have much more to add. Just from last week, I think that she is well positioned. I think that she is good socially. I think that she can do good she can do well in competitions. It's just a matter of like, is she gonna kick it into some kind of gear at some point? And I don't know because I haven't seen enough of her. Melissa, do you have any thoughts?
I was just going to give her a 6 again because I don't really know what she's doing, if she's doing anything. But, I mean, that could be a good thing. We just don't know at this point. So I'm just going to keep with the 6.
All right. The audience gave her a 5 last week, and they are also going to continue along with their thoughts on Kaycee and give her a 5 once again. So everyone's the same on Kaycee, which again does not surprise me because what is she even doing? Let's move on to Rachel, who got the crap app this week, and that's a thing that happened. She still remains the more social of the two we got the 2 bros and then we got the 2 women, Rachel and Angela, in this alliance, and she is the more social of the 2 between between her and Angela. She seems to have connections. However, people have also talked about her a little bit, and you know, you got to worry like where her head is at, given the fact that she is very worried about her image and the fact that she got the crap app. Melissa, how do you feel about Rachel?
I feel pretty good about Rachel in that it seems like she gets along better with people, and I don't really see people targeting her yet. But what did I give Angela this week?
You gave
Angela?
You gave Angela a 5.
Okay. I think I'm going to give Rachel a 6. Because I feel like she's getting along better with people. People seem to like her more. I've heard people say good thing. I think I heard like one person or maybe two be like, yeah, I could work with Rachel. So, yeah, I think that at this point she's positioned herself well. I don't see her as being a huge threat or anyone trying to like get her out anytime soon. So, yeah.
I gave her a 7, which is down from what I had her last week. I was probably a little bit too high on her last week. I haven't seen a lot of great things from her this week, although I have seen that she's at least aware that Tyler's playing a great or an arguably great game, and she understands that maybe there are moves to be made in the future, that maybe this isn't going to be her final group. I think that it's probably true that Angela will be evicted over her, although I don't know. She's relatively boring, and so somebody like Rachel could be evicted over her. And the other thing I worry about with her, if she falls into any sort of a showmance, I don't know who it could be, but it's certainly possible. I mean, you know, the Big Brother house is a long game, 99 days. Anything can happen. I don't know that would be good for her in the long run. But and also, by the way, her punishment, so to speak, was so much easier than what Fessy got. Although on the other hand, he could have chosen it as well, and he chose the ham one. So whatever. But that was totally lame, and I don't understand why they didn't see that. Why they wouldn't let us see that on the feeds for the most part? Because do we think it was that guy from last year who was yelling at Jess and Cody? I thought that was. You don't know. Okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering.
It's been such a non-factor. I'm just like,
I know, it's such a non-factor. Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy. I can't even believe that. Anyway, like I said, I gave her a 7, which is down from where I gave her last week, because last week I gave her an 8. And I do think that if things go right for her, they knock out a couple of these Faute people, if things start to reshuffle a little bit, that you probably forget about somebody like Rachel. She's personable enough and likable enough to win the game. But I need to see a little bit more game from her before I give her anything more than a 7.
All right. I gave her a 7 last time. I still feel like she's about the same sort of like potential wise, but I do feel like she has gone down in terms of positioning. I feel like more people are talking about her. More people are starting to get a little worried about her. So I'm going to drop her down to a 6 for now. She could go back up. But for now she is a 6 for me. And, the audience, wow. Okay. So the audience with Rachel, similarly to how they feel about Haleigh, the audience is going to give Rachel a 5 out of 10, much lower than we are on Rachel. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Maybe because she's over there with Winston and them, and people don't like him right now. So I don't know.
I don't know. All right, let's move on to Rockstar then. Rockstar, I will say, I did check because somebody tweeted at me talking about having a feeling that Rockstar was going to get a lot of 10 votes and that Tyler was going to get a lot of 1 votes. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I looked, and Rockstar does, in fact, still have the second most 10 votes of anybody in the cast. Yes, for those of you casting those votes, unless you have a very good justification for why you think her game is like the best in the house, this is a vote on their gameplay. That's what I'll say. Vote on their gameplay. Try not to vote any other way. But let's talk about it, because I definitely think that Rockstar, her position for me has fallen. I don't like where she is. I feel like she's potentially on her way out the door very soon. I don't like how she handled the information that she got about the Swaggy backdoor ahead of time. I don't like how she handled the information that she continues to handle the information that she has on Tyler. She's just made herself a target. It makes for a rootable character, but not a good game player, unfortunately. And I'm gonna drop her down to a 2. So that's where I have Rockstar. Brent, where are you on Rockstar?
I thought I was going to be the one with the hot take, giving her a 2, because I also gave her a 2. I love Rockstar, and I would love to see her kick ass and take it home. I'm going to be rooting for her on Thursday to win HOH. But if I have to honestly evaluate her gameplay, I think she's dead man walking. She really is. I think it's highly likely that somebody in Tyler's shadow wins HOH. There's only maybe I can count on one hand the number of people who would keep Rockstar safe, who wouldn't be fall prey to the machinations of Tyler. But there are a few of them in the house right now, and we generally haven't been lucky. We got kind of lucky with Kaitlyn winning HOH last week. That was because there was a moment in time there where Scottie or Sam could have won. I was like, oh my God, please not them. That was great, from a TV feeds point of view for Kaitlyn to get HOH. But we usually don't get lucky twice in a row. I kind of feel like we're due for, dare I say, a Winston or a Brett HOH or something, and that would be just awful. So I am 2 things. Number 1, I think it's possible she could get a power, or Bayleigh could get a power that could help her. 2, she could win HOH. 3, she could win the veto. And 4, if somebody like Brett or Winston gets HOH, I can see them maybe wanting to go after Scottie. I know they just don't get along with him very well. And I know that Tyler would probably try to point them at Rockstar, but they would probably put Scottie on the block as a pawn. And I don't know how that would go. So, I mean, again, Tyler's been shown to get what he wants, so he may be able to do that. But I'm not so sure about that. So, but you guys, I'm being honest, and even though she's giving me what I want, yes, queen wise, it's just not good gameplay wise, and so I gave her a 2. Sorry.
All right, Melissa.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her a 3. Unfortunately, I really like her, but I don't think she handled this week very well. I think that when Haleigh came to her with that information, she could have done something, and she should have done something. Yep. I think she hinted at things, but not enough. And I think that Haleigh is in a better position. When Haleigh comes to Rockstar with that information, Haleigh's in a better position with that other side. Rockstar is not in a good position with that side at all. So I can see why Haleigh might not want to say anything, not rock the boat, whatever. Rockstar has no reason not to rock the boat. She should have rocked the boat, and she should have done something, or convinced Haleigh to do something, or something, but she didn't. And then as the week went further, she, wasn't came out. That's the way to do it. What was I saying?
But we missed the last sentence.
I was just saying.
Melissa received a punishment where she has to turn into a robot for about 5 seconds every 20 minutes.
Right.
Man. Well, all I know is that I was saying that I didn't like the way that she handled her conversation with Kaitlyn. Right. I thought that she was kind of coming at her. And while we want to see that, I didn't think it was going to convince Kaitlyn to change her mind or make Kaitlyn like Rockstar more. So I felt like it wasn't a good conversation to have.
It was a day late and $1 short. That was the problem. If she wanted to have a conversation like that, why not have a conversation the night before?
I don't know why no one did anything. It wasn't set in stone, and nobody did anything, and I was just infuriated.
I understand why she didn't talk, because Haleigh said, well, I've been sworn to secrecy, so you can't tell anybody this. Rockstar should have said, I'm sorry, honey, but we got to do something about this. You need to go talk, and then I'll come into the room. Somehow she needed to get it done, and she sat on the ball. I don't understand how the yes queen of Twitter, the one who always stands up for people, how did she just sit on her hands? Mm-hmm. Don't understand how that happened, Melissa.
Yeah, I don't either. And I honestly, I feel like she also was telling the wrong people about her suspicions about Tyler. I feel like it's good that she's having those suspicions, and I'm very excited that she is. And say that stuff to Swaggy, and say that stuff to Haleigh, but don't say it to Kaitlyn, and don't say it to Tyler. Don't say it to anyone who you think might go back to Tyler, or who's been hanging out with. I mean, it's a telltale sign that Kaitlyn's been hanging out with Tyler all week. does she really think that like, oh, okay, like that's nothing. She doesn't want to hang out with Tyler all week. And I should tell her this stuff. Like Kaitlyn is clearly not on your side anymore. And Haleigh, you can tell, but Kaitlyn, don't tell that stuff to. So yeah, I liked what she was saying. I don't think it's good for her game at all. And now she's a huge target and yeah.
Yeah, and not only did she tell Kaitlyn, but she was super surprised when Kaitlyn told Tyler. Like she was like out of her mind, like incensed about it. Like, you really didn't expect this?
Yeah, and then she goes and tells Kaitlyn what Swaggy had told her, like, okay, this is the way we can get me to stay. And she goes and tells her, like, okay, this is the plan. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, don't do that. So she really had a lot of bad moves this week. And while she was saying everything I wanted to be saying in the house, it's not good for her. And in regards to everyone in the chat asking my mom's opinion, I don't know my mom's opinion. I am back at my apartment, but I will ask her about Rockstar. At this point, though, because there hasn't been an episode, I've just been relaying all the feeds information to my mom. So I think she's feeling the same way that I'm feeling, but only because I'm kind of putting that in her ear. So we'll just have to see.
Yes. Also, Janigma on Twitch wants to know where they can start a donation thing to get Melissa an Ethernet cable so that her internet doesn't cut out anymore.
I don't know why it does this. It only does it when I'm on the podcast. Every other time, my internet's perfect.
You need a cable. You need to be plugged in. That's how robots work. So it's a 2, a 2, and a 3. The audience, as I mentioned, a bit higher on Rockstar. There's a bit of some hopeful voting here, I think. The audience has given Rockstar a 5 out of 10. It's averaged out too. Yes.
You guys are just making it harder for me to buy Rockstar. Come on. You really want me to win? Come on. A Rockstar. Yes, so I already had Rockstar stock from last week.
It has gone down $5 to 3, but it was almost 2. So there you go. A 5 out of 10. So let's move on to Sam, who, like I said, she's kind of gone to a different. We talked a lot about Sam already, but how do you think she's been doing this week, game wise, Melissa?
Game wise this week, I mean, not so bad, but also not so good. I don't really see her doing that much. And maybe that's for the best because she's not really on anyone's radar right now, and I think that has to do a lot with the fact that she has that power, so they know they can't really get her out anytime soon. So I think that that's good for her. What did I rate her last week? Looks like I rated her 5
4
or 4.
Yeah. Andy gave her 4.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to give. It's so hard because she hasn't really made any connections. Like I feel like she's not on anyone's radar, but at the same time, she's not making connections with people. I feel like Angela and Rachel, while they're not really on people's radars, they're at least making connections with people. So I think I'm just going to keep my rating of her the same as a 4 because I also don't feel like she's really learning that much about how to play the game. I think she's kind of relying on other people to tell her what to do and what to think. So yeah, I'm just going to keep her at a 4.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I gave her a 5 last time. I think I'm gonna keep it there. I think that I've been kind of disappointed by her second week that we've seen on the feeds of her in the game, but at the same time, her position has improved. She's not obviously in the spot where she is potentially gonna go home and have to use her power. She now has her power. Position-wise, she's in a better place. My faith in her game has gone down a little bit. So again, that's going to even out to about a 5 once again for me. Brent, how do you feel?
I gave her a 3, and that's what I gave her last week when she was probably on her way out the door and probably coming back inside. I do not think that this person can win the game. That's what I'm looking at. Again, can they win the game? Because it's a must-win stock watch. I think that there's a good chance she could make it to the final 3, maybe even the final 2, but there's no way she's winning. I don't think that she understands really what's happening around her. I think she's sort of in her head playing the game that she wishes was being played right now, not the actual game that's being played right now. She may show me better. I really hope she does. I hope that there's more smarts in there than what I'm giving her currently credit for, but I don't see a lot there in terms of being able to take it home and claim victory in Big Brother 20. So I gave her a 3.
All right. Last week, the audience gave Sam a 5. This week, the audience has given her a 6. The audience has risen up onto Sam. They think she's a 6 out of 10. They're feeling better about her.
You know what we need? We need this to be like the Emmys, where they don't let the whole Academy vote. They have like a blue ribbon panel for the nominee. That's what we need. Some actual people.
It's only 25% of the ultimate price. We're just getting a look at how the RHAP audience is feeling. So they're feeling a 6.
I need like,
there should be a disclaimer that they should click, which is like, I will vote, honestly and in a line with what their gameplay actually is, and they have to like click a box rather than just like go for it. That way, maybe their conscience makes them
the people that I know, like Doom and Kayla and Bill and Vader Girl, like these people. I trust them to make an honest assessment of what's going on. But okay, well, I don't know. I'm just saying,
I don't trust anyone.
Yeah, at least one of those people is the person that's just constantly yelling at us all podcast long, like for every.
Oh
podcast.
well, yeah, you gotta love Doom though.
So let's move on here to Scottie. Scottie, I was pretty high on Scottie last week. I gave him a 7. I was still a little unsure about where he was going to go from there. I personally, I think that his position is still pretty good. However, I have less faith in his ability in the game. He did seem to get pretty snowed by Tyler and potentially even Brett at this point, which is not looking great. But I still feel good about his position. I still feel like he is the archetype that if he survives long enough, he definitely has a good shot at winning. So I'm going to give him a 6. Last time I gave him a 7, so I'm a little bit down, but still a 6 for me. Brent, how do you feel about it?
I gave him a 4 last week. This week, I'm giving him a 6. I do feel a lot better about his game. I do see him playing the game more. I think the best thing that happened to Scottie was honestly losing Steve. We can get to know him a little bit better. And not only that, Scottie even said that he hung out with Steve 80% of the time. That's not a good thing to do in the Big Brother house. It's hanging like Swaggy is finding out right now, that Bayleigh is finding out right now. You don't want to be hanging like freaking Brett and Winston hanging out with each other all the time. You don't want to be in a manse like that. So I'm glad that he lost Steve. I feel like he's probably positioned pretty well. He can. You called it last week, Taryn. I can't remember if it was on. I think it was on a recap with Rob, where you were like, "Oh, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Scottie because if he puts his foot down and says, no, Swaggy needs to stay. We need to really, rally the troops and fight. Then I think he's probably going to go home pretty quickly. Maybe in the next couple weeks. But if he tucks himself behind the power, like the Ethan in Africa, the assistant coach, like not the power, but behind the power, like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, I feel like that would probably be a pretty good place for him, and that seems to be what he's done. So, but the fact that he, like I said, I wish he. The funny part is that he said hi to RHAP, to all of us, but yet he doesn't really talk to the camera. I think maybe he misunderstood, as you pointed out, the whole Big Brother thing about not talking to America. They were talking about not pandering to America. You can still talk to us and tell us what the hell's going on, or just go in a room and talk to yourself. And we'll see it. You don't have to look at us, for heaven's sake. But I would like to hear a little bit more from Scottie. But I do think he's positioned well, so I gave him a 6.
I will say there is a small chance that he is talking to us. I know when I talked to Steve after Big Brother 17, there was a lot of moments where Steve talked to the cameras that we just never saw on the feeds. Sometimes they just don't care about the nerdy guy that's talking to the cameras and they don't want to show it. But I haven't seen any indication of that. I did see Steve occasionally talk to the cameras, so there's also a chance that he's not at all. So Melissa, how do you feel about Scottie?
It's hard because there were some moments this week where I was really excited about him because there would be the way someone would say something or the wording that someone would say something, and he'd call it out and be like, I know that they're lying. Oh, so she knew about it beforehand, or whatever he would say. And I'd be like, yes, exactly. I'm so glad he picked up on that. That's amazing. And I was really impressed by that. And then this whole thing with Tyler, it's like it's his blind spot or something. He's not picking up on anything that Tyler is saying. And the fact that like Tyler had said something about, I think it was with Scottie, where he said, who's going up? Who's the replacement nominee? Is it Angela? And he's like, yeah, I think, or he's like, I've heard that. And he's like, okay, so Angela's going up. And he's like, the replacement the veto views of replacement nominee will go up or something. He like said something really vague and didn't actually say Angela's name. And it was like, you'd think that he'd pick up on something like that, and he didn't. And it makes me think that Tyler's his blind spot. And I don't like the fact that he's like trying to position himself like that. I don't know if he actually believes that Tyler wants to like work with him, or like that's like his new alliance. And maybe he's just playing Tyler. We don't know yet, because you're right. He's not talking to the feeds. They're talking to the cameras. So I don't really know what he's doing. I don't know if he's actually falling for it, or if he's, just playing Tyler.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Did you give your rating? I don't want to
interrupt you. No, my rating
is
a 5.
Okay, I wanted to say really quickly that I don't think that Scottie is dumb enough to believe everything that Tyler is telling him, because Tyler actually said to him that, the main thing this week was your safety. I just wanted to make sure, above all else, that you were safe, Scottie. He can't possibly believe that, because he knew that Tyler was at least instrumental in part in getting these nominations up in the first place, that Tyler knew that this was the plan all along. If something went wrong with the veto, if Fez won the veto or something, and the nominations were frozen in place, Scottie would have been out. I mean, and that was sort of intriguing to him. I think even where Tyler said, I don't know if Tyler meant to say this or not. He said, that he told Scottie, if you were up against Swaggy on the block, that you would have went home. And I think Scottie was like, what?
Yeah.
How would that happen? Like, what? So there were a few shoes dropped for Scottie, and I can't believe that he believes all of them. But I need to see an indication of that. I'm kind of just hoping for the best at this point.
Yes, the audience last week gave Scottie a 6 out of 10. This week, they've gone down on Scottie. They gave him a 5 out of 10. So the audience not as confident in Scottie as they were before. And I'm willing to bet a lot of that has to do with the conversation with Tyler. Even though I think that was a good thing for him ultimately. The last person we have left here, because Summer of Steve is no longer in the game, is in fact Tyler. We have to talk about Tyler and give him a rating. I personally feel better about Tyler's game than I did last week. I think that he has basically completely controlled the action this week. He is not flawless, but he is playing very well. He is the player to beat. So, Brent, what do you want to do with here? What kind of rating do you want to give him? Last time, you gave him an 8. How do you feel about him this time?
I'm giving him a 6. I do not feel I feel worse about his game. I think he just is doing too much. I do feel like it's all of his chickens are eventually going to come home to roost. I do not feel like this can continue. And there are a lot of invoices out there that have to come due. I still don't understand the whole line to Scottie about who knew what with the vote and how the vote happened. And Scottie's smart enough to know that no power happened because Julie didn't say anything. So I do feel like that if the right person can get power and get people talking, I do feel like Scottie can probably figure out what's going on with Tyler. And so I do feel like there are a couple people that can cash some checks on Tyler. And that combined with the fact that a lot of people are talking about him right now leads me to think he's playing worse than he was last week. And so that's why I gave him a 6.
All right, Melissa, what do you think?
I'm going to keep with my 9. I think he's doing a really great job. He's doing the best job in the entire house. And it seems to me that even when people are catching on to him, they then all of a sudden seem to want to work with him when he talks to them. Like when he does that, emotional manipulation and just like plays to their whatever they're feeling, he's able to convince them of anything and convince them that they want to work with him. And I feel like everybody wants to be his friend. And so I think that so far he's doing a really great job, and every person who I thought would see right through it doesn't really seem to be seeing right through it. And it feels like the only person who's seeing right through it is Rockstar, and she seems to be the next to go. So, I got to give him a good score.
All right. I feel like Brent, you're pretty low here. Even Doom, when even Doom thinks you're low on Tyler, that's pretty crazy because Doom hates Tyler. Just before I give my rating quickly, Brent thinks that Bayleigh, Brett, Haleigh, JC, and Rachel are all playing better than Tyler this week.
Oh my God.
Hey,
so, he's like, I stand by it.
Yeah, there
I stand by it. And I want to also point out that I was the lowest of the three of us, in fact, all of us, including the audience, on Tyler last week. So this is just more of the same. I'm just not quite as impressed by, again, Big Brother is a marathon. It is not a sprint. He's done great for 2 flipping weeks. I can name you 20 players who have played Big Brother great for 2 weeks and then quickly gone home. So I still think you guys are overestimating his ability here.
Well, look, I take this very literally. I'm rating him on this week, and I rated him the same last week. I felt like it's a 9, but it's probably going to go down next week because I felt like I was predicting that he was going to do worse in the following week. That didn't happen. I actually think that he's improved his position from last week. I think that he has less things that can go wrong because a lot of the things that could go wrong, he has stopped up those holes. So I do think that again that my number for him will go down eventually. I considered giving him a 10 this week because I do think his game has improved, but I don't think it's quite good enough for the coveted 10. So I'm going to give him a 9 once again.
I was like, we can't give a 10. It's like Dancing with the Stars. You can't give a 10 in week 2, Taryn.
Well,
Come on.
I think you can because you're rating all week 2 games, right? Like if this
unless it's Christy Yamaguchi, then you can do it.
But I do think there is a better week 2 game out there. There are a few better 2-week games out there. So I'm giving him a 9 here. I expect this to go down, which is why I probably won't be buying any Tyler stock quite yet. However, if he keeps it up, then at some point we're gonna have to just keep giving him high ratings. So the audience last week gave Tyler a 9 out of 10. Very high on Tyler last week. They have gone down on Tyler. They gave him an 8 out of 10 this week. They do not feel the same way I do. They feel like the game has gone downhill. I really don't feel that way. I really feel like Tyler's position is a lot stronger, and I feel like I'm more confident in his ability. However, I think that there's definitely a lot to be said about the fact that his failures, his faults, are a lot more highlighted now, and we can see them a lot more. So I can't argue too much. So the audience gives him an 8, which makes his total stock price this time an $8 instead of 9 from last time. So his stock price has gone down. This could be the lowest it ever goes. That's possible. So it's time to start buying here. We've got to buy some stuff.
Now, I have a question. Within the week, if we sell, like if I decided to sell, like I just want to ask this question because I know it's going to eventually come up. Let's say I have $18, okay, and let's say I sell something and I get $3 back. So do I have 20 or 21? Like I just like as long as it's within the week, I would feel like I have 21.
Just spend first and then sell.
Spend first.
Yeah.
Spend first and then sell. Okay.
Yeah. We never want to go above 20.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Where are all the? Oh, here we are. Sorry, I was looking at the top here. So the prices are who costs the most? Tyler costs the most at $8. And second most is
Swaggy costs the least at $2.
Right. Who's this person at 7? I could BRE.
Haleigh and Brett are both at $7.
Okay. Melissa, do you have anything? I'm not sure. I think I'm going to buy. I'm gonna stick to my strategy. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna buy more Rockstar stock. I'm gonna buy 2 shares of Rockstar. It's at $3, so that's gonna be 3 shares of Rockstar. And so how much do I have? I have $15, right?
Yes,
okay,
you started with 15, so you just spent 6.
I just spent 6. And do I want to buy anything else? Let me look at the people who are cheap here. Fez, no. Is that Angela who's at $4? Yeah.
Yes.
Winston's at 3. He ain't winning. Swaggy, no. And who's KAI?
That's Kaitlyn.
Kaitlyn, sorry. Okay, she's not winning either. The only person I'm tempted to buy is Angela, but I think I'm going to hold back because now I have $9 left, and so I would be fine going into next week. And obviously, I'm not going to sell since I'm buying more of it. So now I have 3 shares of Rockstar stock.
All right, Melissa, what are your thoughts? What are you going to buy here?
I'm going to buy a Brett stock.
All right, Brett, for $7, Melissa is going to buy Brett. That leaves you with $6. Are you going to buy anyone else?
No.
I love where I'm at.
All right. I did think briefly today, like, should we incorporate shorting, like shorting a stock? Like, who do we think is going to go down from where they? Who's overpriced? It's something to think about for next week. I don't want to overcomplicate things too much, but I'm going to go ahead and buy a share of Kaitlyn for $4, which is going to leave me.
I have a bridge to sell you in Alaska as well.
You know what? Anything can happen. Anything. She's pretty cheap, and I gotta get down to 10. So I'm down to $10 after buying Kaitlyn, I believe. The number's a little bit off on the chart, but I should be at 10.
You'll be down to 10. I'll be down to 9, and Melissa will be down to
6, I think.
7. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it 7?
Yeah. You'd be done at 7. Yeah, you had 13. You bought Brett at $6, and now you have $7 left, right?
Brett was $7, so she's down to 6. I think the math. I think the math is a little off on the chart, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm at 10. Melissa's at 6. Brent is at 9. And I did consider, especially when Brent gave Tyler a 6. I was like, oh, is this the time? Is this the time to buy some Tyler stock?
I know.
Well, nobody came with me.
Yeah.
I was sandbagging.
I have a feeling that it'll go down again. I feel like the people are going to keep voting low, and possibly Brent is going to keep voting low. So, he'll come down again.
Yes. All right. So Bill in the chat is already doing this. Thank you so much to Alexandra, who is not only the person who has created all of this, these charts and everything, but is also behind the scenes right now, updating it live for us so you guys can see the changes happening.
So cool.
So yes, thank you to Alexandra. And that's the stock watch for the week. I hope you guys enjoy the new prices. I hope you're looking. We're giving you advice if you're following along and playing the game with us, and we'll see how things go from there. So there we go with the stock watch. Let's just get a couple questions out of the way and then wrap up. It's been a long one, but there's been a lot to talk about. It's been a crazy week.
Crazy week.
All right. Adriana wants to know, besides Bayleigh, is there any other contender for the next most trending power? I really feel like this is Bayleigh's, and nobody else can get it unless something major happens in the episodes. Brent, are you with me?
I would agree, although I was shocked to hear that Bayleigh was the runner-up to Tyler in the first place, because I don't think you even had her on your radar, Taryn. So I think it's possible that the real super fans of Big Brother might have more of an impact here. And if everybody is voting for Rockstar, if she even gets one 5-minute yes queen moment on the episode, it might be enough to put her in contention. So if anybody besides Bayleigh gets it, it's got to be Rockstar.
All right.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm loving the fact, Melissa, that Tyler's not going to know. Hopefully, I'm praying if Bayleigh gets it, she keeps her mouth shut. Like, do not tell Tyler. I want there to be a piece of evidence out there. A piece in play that he doesn't know about. Exactly.
Yes.
That's driving him crazy. He's like, who has this power? I know somebody's lying about it. I want to see him suffer a little bit, Taryn.
You know what is true? I think the fact that Bayleigh came so close, like the live feed contingent could be more significant than we think, and maybe there is a chance that they really push hard for Rockstar and get Rockstar the power.
So we have more power, Melissa. It's like BBOTT days where we can make things happen.
Oh
possible.
God, no.
She certainly needs it more than Bayleigh.
Right.
Flex wants to know, it's been a great start to the season. How are the ratings doing? Because will this season prove that great casting can draw viewers without returning players. So I can say that the ratings are pretty good. Big Brother, I believe, was the #1 show on television this week, beating everything. Still, like, not quite as good as last season in terms of not pure numbers, but in comparison to everything else on TV, because TV numbers are declining somewhat, it's doing very well, and I don't think we have any cause to worry.
Any cause to worry whatsoever. It's a cheap show to produce. They still only give the winner $500,000. They only give the runner-up $50,000. I mean, give me a break. And they're adding more Big Brother. So there's a celebrity Big Brother on the horizon. Is that going to be in the fall or the winter? Do we know when that's going to be?
Probably around the same time as last time, like in January, February.
All right. Okay. Yeah, so Big Brother's here to stay, man.
Yes. So we also have a question from Sammy Lambert, who wants to know, what % chance do you give Swaggy to keep himself safe this week? I think I gave it a 10% chance Sunday night. I think I'm probably down to like 7%. The window is closing, in my opinion. Melissa, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I really hope he can pull it off. I think it would be absolutely amazing, but I don't know. I don't really see how it could happen. The only thing that I was thinking, I mean, I don't even know if it's possible anymore, but if they could somehow convince either Winston blows up and just like goes crazy, or they somehow convince Kaitlyn that Winston was saying stuff behind her back. Like, that seems to be what it is. And if she's then like, if she's very, very adamant that Swaggy needs to stay and Winston needs to go, maybe that might sway Tyler because he doesn't want to upset Kaitlyn. Maybe, and then somehow it happens. But at this point, it just doesn't seem likely.
Yes. All right. Let's get a question from Foster, who wants to know, who is most irrelevant in the game right now? Kaycee, Angela, or Scottie? I want to say Angela, personally.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kaycee actually.
Yeah,
Angela actually has.
Kaycee.
Yeah, Angela actually has something going on where people, like, at least were talking about her negatively, and you know, on the feeds anyway. And there are a couple people who are defenders of her or idiot people. But so I think that, you know, at least people are talking in some way about Angela, but no one's talking about Kaycee. And I mean, like, I'm shocked that it's either gonna be Angela or Kaycee that gets the least trending power next week. And I'm kind of, you know, I'm hoping for fun with that.
Yes. We have a theory from somebody who I assume is not a big Tyler fan. Being Loud wants to know, do you think Tyler was interested in Bayleigh and is jealous that Swaggy got the girl? Do you think that has anything to do with this, Melissa?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
I just thought that was a fun theory. So
it is a fun theory, but I don't think it's.
No, I see no indication of this. A lot of you know, like I said, the people turning on Tyler. Sadie wants to know, most people preseason talked about lying low in the beginning and then turning their game up later. If you had to guess, who is most likely to emerge as that strong player? If you have to pick one person, who do you think is going to emerge as a stronger player? I personally feel like Rachel is going to turn up the heat. That's going to be my pick. You agree, Brent? That's
the person I was going to say as well. And maybe I'm wishing for it to happen again. She's friends with Jackie from 17. So maybe I'm hoping for the best here. But she knows at least the basics of how to play the game and sort of what the audience wants from her. And I have to think it was a kick in the teeth to get the crap app. So she's probably going to be turning on the charm up to, you know, if there's a moment in time where she thinks I can do this and the audience will love me, this will be a great move. I think she's totally going to go for it. So I'm here for Rachel turning it up.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see Rachel doing it. I could also see Brett maybe. I want to say Kaycee, but I don't know if I really see that in her.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all we've got for you, unless you guys have any final thoughts, anything that we've left untouched, because I feel like we've talked about pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Give me ideas for a hashtag in the chat as we wrap up here.
Yeah, we need a hashtag. I wanted to tell people that I had asked people some things on Twitter, and you know, there's some troublesome things that Kaitlyn had said in the house, not just the lyric thing with the N-word, but some other things that she had alluded to. And I I had thought about bringing it up tonight, but honestly, I wanted to bring it up on the podcast with Rob on Rap Proper tomorrow. So I didn't mean to disappoint people tonight, but I think that basically I can only rage about it one time, and I didn't want to have to go through it again with Rob tomorrow. So I want to have an honest conversation about that tomorrow with him, if possible. Melissa, I think you might be there as well. I can't remember who's going to be, or maybe it's Taryn.
I think I'm Thursday.
Oh, you're Thursday. Okay, so maybe Taryn. But I want to have a little talk about that tomorrow. And so if you were tuning in today because you thought I was going to talk about that, then look for me tomorrow on RHAP with Rob, and we'll talk about Kaitlyn.
Yeah, hopefully, sorry. Hopefully the boyfriend news was good enough for tonight. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any hashtags here? We've got hashtag bee killer. Did you end up killing the bee, Brent?
Oh, by the way, it was a moth. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It was a moth.
A moth is not scary.
Well, it was in my face, and I was going like this, and I was nervous.
we got hashtag Ethernet crap app. That one's not bad. Hashtag the boyfriend news.
Oh, Sunshine Swaggy. I like that too.
That's pretty good.
That's Sunshine Day.
Hashtag ghost Melissa. Hashtag mothgate. Let's do Ethernet crap app. I like that one.
Ethernet crap app. All right.
We need to buy Melissa an Ethernet cable.
By the way, Melissa, the same thing happens with Mike Bloom. So don't think it's just you. Like I when I do podcasts with Mike Bloom, occasionally he'll just fade out. Really? And I don't know.
Does he
looked
also
into it.
rely on Wi-Fi?
I think he even got an Ethernet cable or something. I'll double check with him, but I'm pretty sure he's looked at it. So I don't know if it's solvable, but it may be. I don't know. I'll talk to Mike about it.
Figure it out.
Okay.
All right. Make sure you check out the Taryn Show this week. I spoke with Hardy Hill from Big Brother 2, all the way back.
That's so crazy.
Yes, blast from the past. I afterward I was like, I think 9 years old when I watched this guy play the game, and now here we are 17 years later, and I'm talking to him on a podcast.
Crazy. I can remember that was when I started when I was in the Army, I started using painkillers. I can remember getting high for the first time and watching Big Brother 2 and thinking, in fact, one time I kind of overdosed a little bit where I took too many pills and I basically passed out, and I was in the middle of watching Big Brother and I was like, what happened? I forget.
Oh my
Good
God.
times, Taryn. Good times.
Really good times.
Well, make sure you check out the Taryn Show this week with Hardy. Very interesting.
Did you talk a lot about Big Brother, his Big Brother experience, and did you learn anything crazy?
Nothing crazy. I think it was
No, you're supposed to say we learned something really crazy. But you'll have to listen to the podcast.
You'll never believe the 10 things that Hardy Hill mentions on the Taryn Show, episode 49.
Exactly. That's marketing.
All right.
I have to think that he is probably really bitter about the fact that they introduced the veto, right after his season.
Yeah, we talked about that actually.
I was him. I'd be bitter about that. Yeah.
Make sure you check out the live feed update tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then, of course, tomorrow night, we will be live with a recap of the Wednesday night episode. And then, of course, Thursday as well, we will be here. We're always here. Make sure you also check out my Twitch channel. Been watching the feeds with you guys. It's a lot of fun to watch the feeds with people. So I've been enjoying that. Come hang out. We'll talk shop. Anything else? Brent, Melissa?
Good to go. Just hashtag the hashtag is Ethernet crap app. You can follow me on Twitter at OneLuckyGay, one spelled out. Did you already do the Twitter things?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Sorry.
And make sure again, if you want to find the stock watch form, you can follow me on Twitter at ArmstrongTaryn. That stays open even as the show is going. So if you, it'll be the day of the live feed or the LFC Roundtable. I will post it after the update in the morning, and then you'll have all day to vote, including during the show while it's running. running. You can go and you can vote. You can give your ratings. I might throw in a couple extra questions in there next time, just to get a sense of where the audience is at, but I'm not sure yet. And you can also follow Melissa at It's Melissa with 3 A's. And that's all we've got for you. So for Brent and Melissa, I am Taran Armstrong. #Ethernet crap app. We will see you next time.